All right, we are live. We are live. Welcome to the Elite Podcast, episode 43. That's in the US version, and 43. That's in the VI version. So I gotta give two versions. So hope everybody doing well. Episode 43 featuring Karen M. Carty. So this one is gonna be a great episode. It's gonna be a lot of information. So I can't wait to hear the story. So it's gonna be amazing. But you know, we had a busy week. We had a busy week last week. Well, yeah, last week because Sundays they started a new week. So, Wednesday episode we had Jason Page, and then yesterday we had Tiga and Jersey retirement. So that was interesting and that was fun. So, the lead podcast was pretty busy. So right now, Tigan and Pang is having some technical difficulties. The way how it was. You guys will be freaking out and laughing. So hopefully they could get it together and then come on and stuff like that. But otherwise, I hope everybody's doing well. Shout out to all the viewers that's tuning in right now. Much respect, much love to you guys. So hope everybody doing well. Happy Sunday. Today's what, November the 1st? Yeah, November the 1st. So happy November to everybody. Hope everybody doing well. So I'll go ahead and get the shout outs out of the way, as we speak. So these is just shout outs that we like to show love to all the VI people them doing their thing, business owners, etc. So everybody doing the thing. So everybody can support, show love, support your own, how it is. So we got legends340.com, legends340.com. We got Savory Eats LLC based in Orlando by Sheena Fontaine. She just had a food sale just yesterday, big time. Food was amazing. Good night, good night. The food was amazing. So we also got the Good Life Apparel. Good Life Apparel, big up to Nato. We also got Andrea with Melted Pot Cooking Class, and that's follow on Instagram, Melted Pot Cooking Class, and also meltedpotcookingclass.com. Yes, big up to all the viewers tuning in and commenting right now. Much love to everybody. We also got Sebone Caribbean Restaurant. Big up to our Metro Market Touch. We also got Apollo Legion. So big up to Poyo or Pojo. Also, follow on Instagram, Island Destiny 340 Serenity Braids by Nikki. Also, follow Rico Canario website. That's one of our past guests. Rico Canario, his website is www.lulu.com/spotlight/R Canario. He has some great history, man. If you guys get a chance, check out his Facebook page too, because he be posting some historical stuff on the Virgin Islands, the VI history. He's not just a sports historian, but he's just a VI historian, man. A lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom. So if you guys get a chance, check out his Facebook page and also check out his website. He has some books there as well too. So go out and support. We also got Right Way Service Station located in Princess next to Avis. We got Paris Enterprise. Also follow our Facebook at Livewire Sports. Livewire Sports. Follow our Facebook. They're always live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. So you guys tune in. I'm not sure who they have coming up this Tuesday, but they're always live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. So you guys go on and support. I know their last episode, they had KLX Krabby. That was a good episode. A lot of great information. So if you guys get a chance, check that out. Also, follow on Instagram, follow on Twitter, follow on Snapchat, follow on TikTok at The Real Midnight. At The Real Midnight. Big up to Frenchie and his artist, Midnight Entertainment. Big up, doing big thing out in Jacksonville, Duval County. Big up to yourself. Also follow on Facebook at Real Midnight ENT as well. Also big up to Chico Harris. Next Level Up Printing. Next Level Up Printing. He did some good stuff for G-Nick's funeral as well too. Printed some nice shirts that everybody was wearing. Also follow OliviaDesire.com. You guys check out the website, OliviaDesire.com. So check out the website. Nice jewelry. Holiday season coming up, so you guys might want to check that out. Also big up to Cause Bubbles Promotion. Also follow on Facebook, Brino's Kitchen. Also big up to Mona Bonds. Follow on Facebook at City of Refuge Worship Center. They had live stream every Sunday at 10 a.m. So you guys can check that out as well. And that's live streaming on Facebook. Also, big up to Carlos Hawkins, AIM Credit Repair LLC. He's doing big things with that as well too. Also, big up to Dwayne with his Calypso Clothing LLC. Calypso Clothing. You guys check that out. He has some nice garments. Check out his check out his Facebook as well too. He be posting a lot of pictures of the clothing line. Some nice stuff. It's very unique. It's different, and I love it. I like it. So I got to definitely check that out. So and once again, big up to Tegan and the jersey retirement yesterday as well too. Also, don't forget, we have our YouTube channel where all the previous episodes is located. You guys can always go back and watch, or you guys could let everybody know they could watch the episode if they missed the live episode, and that's at VI Legends, and that's on YouTube. You guys could search the person name as well on YouTube, and it will pop up as well too. So you guys definitely check that out as well. So I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's doing good. So once again, bless up to everybody tuning in. Bless up to everybody, all the viewers. Much love to everybody. So if you guys get a chance, make sure you guys support all the the locals doing their thing abroad and also on the island. So support them, support your own and stuff like that. Each one teach one, each one teach one. That's the mentality we try to spread. Show love to everybody. If everybody could come together and show love to one another, then everybody could succeed and everybody could be happy and the future could be brighter and more safer, better and more enjoyable as well too. So our previous episode on Wednesday, we had Jasan Page, who was my former college teammate and former college baseball, college roommate and former college baseball teammate. So it was amazing. Big up to Bogus, my boy. Big up. Much love to you, brother. Much love. It was an amazing episode, man. Jasan, he shed a lot of light on his upbringing, his journey, his dream was to play, baseball. That's all he focused on, his sports. He touched on how school wasn't really important. He touched on how he just wanted to party, in college and stuff like that. So Tegan asked a lot of very good questions, a lot of good informational questions, and Jasan answered it very well. A lot of kids should take a chance, take their time and check out the episode, man. Jasan dropped a lot of gems, man. He was very informative, man. It was amazing. His passion to make it or just to be able to play professional baseball was very eye-opening, and I really, really admired that, man. He sacrificed a lot of time. He took a lot of chances. He talked about his time being in the Dominican Republic, and the facilities wasn't all that. Big up Sandu. Greetings to you. Much love. And the facility wasn't that good. The bathrooms was open. They had no hot water. So that's some tough sacrifices, especially when you you live in a comfortable life and you have hot water, and you have a good facility. So it was a change, and you could tell the sacrifice he made. His journey, giving a good water, giving him a chance to go into college, and then he just take chances after chances and going out to Arizona, going out to New Mexico. So it was a great episode, man. He been through a lot. He's serving the military right now. He living in Utah. So great episode, man. I'm really, really proud of him. He's one of my good friends. Like I said, he was my former teammate and my roommate. So it was amazing just to hear his story, man. I'm really proud of him and I admire him, man. So, much love to Jasan. Much love to his parents, much love to his family, his daughter, his wife, his father, his mother, and everybody else, his sister. So I'll touch up on Tegan's jersey retirement yesterday. I haven't had a chance to watch it just because I was so busy. I had a lot going on and everything. So I didn't have a chance to watch it, so I can't really speak on it. I kind of tune in piece by piece a little bit, but it was just amazing to see him get his jersey retire. Someone that I met, I know him from a long time, but someone that I actually met in high school, and you would think that, being in high school and then to see where his career took him to where we at now, present day, is amazing for him to get his jersey retired. Big up to his sister, putting the event together, and everybody else who helped out as well too. Big up to D. Hayward, who was his coach. Big up to Bogus, Kevin Libot, pushing Tegan to try out to play basketball. So that was amazing. If it wasn't for Bogus, who know where Tegan would have been. So Bogus played a major part, man, and all the coaches that helped Tegan out. I know he talked about CB, talk about ball. So big up to all the coaches and everybody, man. So I'm hearing it was an amazing event. So it's good. Hopefully, that kind of spark interest in the community and society in the Virgin Islands to kind of start honoring some of the former athletes and coaches and people who have impacted the island and made a difference. Tegan have made an amazing difference helping the youth. He's been a coach. He's been a professional basketball player. He's been a mentor. He does a lot of training. He does free camps for kids. So he's actually helping kids achieve their dreams, and he's actually saving the kids' lives, man. He's a great role model. So much love to Tegan. I know he did, he ran Man League as well too. So he have done a lot of things, man. So I could talk on and on and on and on and the amazing and great things that Tegan have done. But, we have a show and we have a guest. So we definitely have to get to our guest today, so I got to take a drink of water because my mouth getting dry talking so much. Usually I have my co-hosts, them helping me, but they got me doing all the work by myself. But that's how it was too, because the tournaments that they didn't win in high school, I had to win them tournaments and big up complex and take complex to another level. So I used to carry the workload that Tegan and Pang leave behind. You know what I'm saying? So it's all love. Much love to my brothers. I really, really love them. So it's all love and jokes. So, but we have our future guests. We have Karen M. Carty, assistant AD for marketing and fan engagement at Bradley University. So, that title sounds, complicated and amazing. It sounds like a lot of work, so I just can't wait to hear her story and just hear about, how everything came together. I know Karen for a very long time. I think I know Karen maybe like when I was like 7 years old or 8 years old. I used to always see her around with her mom and stuff like that. I always see her for Village Time. They always have a booth and everything. So I know Karen for a very, very long time. So it's always good to see people that you kind of you grew up seeing, you grew up around, and they're doing a lot of good things, a lot of positive things and stuff. I remember I want to say Norfolk State she was at, and I was playing baseball, and she came out and she supported. She came and see Betu Cookman played as well too. So we you grow up with people and then you kind of lose contact. You see them and you don't see them. You see them on Facebook. You don't really engage that much and keep in contact like you should. But but we hear, and I can't wait to hear her story. She's doing big things, like I said. And she's traveled a bit, working at different colleges and stuff. So I just can't wait to hear her story. I think I said that like 10 times already, but I'm trying to multitask here. So no wonder these people at the radio stations and stuff make the big bucks, because they got to do so much stuff. So I see how it is. But usually Pang or Tiga will introduce the guests, but introduce the guests, So but we here. Again, viewers, I appreciate you guys tuning in, supporting Karen. It's always good that the viewers support, each guest and everything, so it's always good to show love and show appreciation. You never know, you guys might learn something. Maybe you guys might want to get into, what she's doing, or maybe you guys might have kids and you guys have questions as well too, and she could maybe answer it, So I want to say this is the second guest we have had that holds a title in college. We had Christine Kelly before, so now we have Karen M. Carty. So with further ado, I will introduce, our beautiful guest, Karen M. Carty. Welcome to the Elite Podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for that great introduction.
Anytime. Somebody got to do it. My co-hosts that can't do it.
Right. Oh, they're so special, and I wish they were here. And I hope they get their technical difficulties worked out.
Yes. Indeed. So, how are you doing? Welcome to the Elite Podcast.
Thank you. I am good. It is cold out here in Peoria, Illinois, so I am trying to stay warm, but everything is going pretty well.
That's good. So, so how cold it is? Let the people that in the VI know what you're dealing with.
Let's see. Currently, it is 43 degrees right now.
Okay.
So kind of cold.
Yeah, that's cool. I know the people that in the VI, that's freezing for them.
Right.
So yeah. So how has your week been? How has your week been? Leading up. I know we scheduled you to come on the podcast. So how has the week been? Any anticipation, any nervousness?
Not nervous. Just been going over my story, just thinking back through the years, making sure to think of all the important things to say. But it's been a cool week. Worked hard. Had a busy week doing things, but I'm really excited to be here and just ready to share my story with you all.
Awesome, awesome. That's good. You sound like a professional. It sounds like you did this many times. So I don't know what it is, but just like Christine and just like you two, you guys have the natural, you guys have the looks, you guys have the voice, you guys have everything to do a radio show or a podcast. No
Right.
lie, you guys got it. So, you know, maybe one day, maybe you and she could do a podcast,
Yeah,
the lady podcast. You
oh
never know.
God. We
So
would. Big up to Christine. I absolutely love her. She's one of my really best friends in the industry and just from home. And I do radio when I'm at home whenever I can with Savita Milligan. And I've actually done radio working at the different schools and announcing and all this other stuff. So,
see, see. So look, I ain't wrong. See, I ain't wrong. So if you and Christine do have a show, just remember I have to be the first guest because I actually pitched the idea out there. So
and
I
that's
need to I
fine.
need some credit.
We will have you. Guest number
Okay,
one.
guest number one. Okay, just making sure. So I only charge 100. I only charge 100 grand. But for I'll do 25 grand.
Oh God.
So
Discount, but we'll take it.
hey, when you are Bradley University and she at Vanderbilt University, I'm making big money. So I ain't counting out your pocket or anything like that. But so I could the university can afford to carve up some change. Myself, Tegan, and Pang, we struggling over here at the Elite Podcast.
We'll definitely get y'all some coins.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So that's like the viewers. I hear that, right? Viewers, I hear that. So let's keep that in mind. So anyway, it's great to have you, Karen. I know we can't wait to hear your story. So I ain't gonna be blabbering too much longer. So let us hear, let us know how it all started. Tell us about your upbringing, growing up, where you was born, where you was raised, and everything, and we just go from there.
All right. Well, I was born in St. Croix. My parents are actually from Anguilla. They came to St. Croix or the Virgin Islands in the 70s. Um, my dad went to UVI in St. Thomas, mid to late 70s. Mom ended up going to UVI in St. Croix, mid to late 80s. But again, born in St. Croix, lived in Lorraine Village for the first couple years of life. Actually, I wish Pam was here for the beginning because our moms were best friends.
Oh
And
wow.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think my mom was Chad's godmom or something like that, but we were always together. Gabrielle would braid my hair, his older sister, and we grew up like family. And we actually kind of might be related from his dad's side, but it was like family anyway. So the actual family ties didn't have to be there. So grew up in Lorraine Village, lived there till I was about 9. My mom worked as an accountant at a construction company somewhere in Christiansted. So I ended up going to St. Croix Christian Academy in Five Corners in Christiansted.
Okay. Okay.
And she worked somewhere near there. So it was, she'd go to work, drop me to school. It wasn't a problem, even though, we live west. My grandmother passed away in 1991. She lived in Hannah's Rest, owned a laundromat downtown Frederickstead. So when grandma passed, mom took it over and our life was completely west now, but I was still going to school in east. So that created a problem for her. So I eventually transferred to St. Patrick's school, did fourth grade, up to fourth grade at the school in east, tested into fifth grade at St. Patrick's. So I had like a half a skip. Hey, Terry, had half a skip. Oh, go ahead.
Well, sorry to interrupt, Karen.
Oh, that's fine.
Since we have our fellow SPS, supporting. Much love to Terry Barron, my big brother. How real quick, how was Terry in school? Was he a troublemaker? Or was he a good student?
He was a comedian. Let's go with that one. He made being in school fun. Terry is one of my friends from the get-go, and he always made being anywhere a pleasure. So I wouldn't necessarily call him a troublemaker, but he enhanced the environment wherever he was. And he was an amazing baseball player.
Facts. Yeah.
So So yeah, so I tested into fifth grade, even though I was coming from fourth grade at the previous school. So that posed it was a little difficult because in elementary school you don't do semesters like you do in college. So they were continuing work that they had started in the fall, and I had to play catch up. So I had good friends who helped me out, but school always came like naturally easy to me. So I was able to navigate through it. Mr. Haywood was our PE teacher at St. Patrick's. So, I known Mac for I known Matt for several years. And he was always influential. He was always a great person to us and for us. So, big up to him. It was good to see him on Tegan's episode last week. It's always good to see him in person as well.
Yeah.
So, St. Patrick's was cool. I lived the West life even more. Would walk around downtown Frederickstead because the laundry was there. I would go to work with my mom when necessary. I could fold the crap out of a fitted sheet because I had to work in a laundry. I've literally been working since I was 6 years old. And like you mentioned, we had a booth in the village taking pictures. So if anybody at any point in life came to the village in St. Croix and got a picture taken, me or my mom probably took it for you. So we did that for, I think, a total of 27 years before she officially retired from doing it. So that was fun. That was cool. And did that for several years. So went to St. Patrick's. I think I may have played softball while I was there. I had natural talent, but I wasn't necessarily great at anything. I was always taller than most of my friends. I'm 5'11" right now. Don't remember what I was in elementary or high school, but I had natural ability. I just didn't have necessarily the skills. And smaller schools, St. Patrick's, and then I eventually went to St. Joseph. We didn't have the resources to really or grow our girls team. So we played everything. We just weren't great at it. So left St. Patrick's in 96, went to St. Joseph. I'm 37, by the way, so in case anybody's wondering, because everybody be doing the math in the comments. Went to St. Joseph in 96. I think Terry was maybe a year ahead of me. So, we all ended up in school together still. Played volleyball, softball, and basketball. Again, was not very good. My mom played tennis as a recreational sport as an adult. She was a track star in high school. My dad didn't play anything. He's 6'4". I'm like, you wasted your height, Dad. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But me and Mom would play tennis recreationally at Arthur Richards because they had courts out there. Yeah, and then they had the wall. So when she couldn't come with me, I just go play by myself against the wall. So I was a okay tennis player, but again, didn't get any formal training in it. So
no Venus or Serena Williams type skills.
I know that I could serve really well, but that's about it. So if I couldn't get you with my serve, then you could probably beat me because the going back and forth was just a bit much. So played, like I said, volleyball, basketball, softball. One of my good friends, Michelle Williams, we were like alternates for each other in sports. So she was short. She was about maybe 5'1", 5'2", and like heavy set. I was much taller. So in volleyball, she would play the rotation and I would serve because, I could serve better than she could because of my height.
Yeah.
In softball, she was an amazing hitter. So she would hit and I would pinch run for her. So again, I was good at certain things and we didn't have the resources or the coaching to really pour into us to make me better. And, I was kind of okay with that. Really didn't care. Played basketball just a bit. Again, I was fast, so I could, run up and down the court all day. But the concept of dribble, take 2 steps, and then dribble again before you take another step was just lost on me. So I'm like, wait, what? I got to do all this at once? So any offense that they created around me was get Karen to the 3-point line. If she's open, get her the ball. She's going to make the shot. And that was legitimately my thing for, I could shoot threes and that was it. Because I was really skinny and wasn't going to drive inside at all because the girls everywhere else were much bigger than me. And then I wasn't going to go in and rebound for real because, again, I was really small. So good on defense. Yeah,
Yeah.
could shoot threes, and that was like the extent of my basketball playing ability. So I think that was 11th grade maybe. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this seriously and I'm gonna play for real in 12th grade and I'm gonna go to college and play basketball. And we didn't have a team my senior year. So I was like, I'll just go to school, for school.
Oh, so you guys didn't have a team the senior year, no team?
Because they focused all their resources on the boys team. We got Coffee when I was in 10th grade, when he was in 10th grade as well. So
Yeah.
they did everything. They got everything. They had, a real coach. I think the guy that coached us was our PE teacher. So, we were just getting by.
So
And
we got so that's where we could blame Coffee and Chris
Carl,
Isidore and Carl and them for not
mhm,
having a girls
mhm.
team, right? That's
They
not
were too
good.
good. They were too good. So, but big up to those guys, especially
Yeah,
big up to
big up.
Coffee. Coffee is my absolute best friend. I don't remember how we
Okay.
became friends, but we were always together in school. I mean, if I got in trouble for something, Coffee probably did it, and vice versa. So we were like literally attached at the hip. He was really, really good at math and science, and I was really
Okay.
good in writing and speaking. So we made the perfect team. So anytime we could work together on group projects, we did. And
Nice.
we ended up doing really well in school together. I remember one time, I think it was senior year, we took electives and he was like, yo, let's go do electronics and astronomy. And I was like, bro, that's science. Like, I ain't trying to do that. And he was like, nah, I got you. Come on, let's go. So we took them. And, the electronics class was actually building things. So
Yeah.
we were teammates, of course, and he would do all the building, all the technical work, all the hands-on stuff. I'd write the report and do the presentation. So we, kind
Oh,
of aced the
perfect.
class.
Yeah.
But then for the final, everybody had to do their own stuff. So
Oh,
the assignment was to build a radio, and they gave us these little kits. They said, you could go buy your own brand new, or you can rebuild a refurbished one that the school would provide. And I was like, I don't care enough about this to go spend money on it. So give me the refurbished one. I'm gonna put that together. We gonna make it work.
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, Coffee goes out and buys his own. So his works beautifully, and he, gets 100 on his assignment. And the one that I built didn't work at all. And I was like, I tried, don't really care, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, I aced my presentation about a radio that didn't work. But that's very much how our relationship was. We're still very close. Still
Nice.
talk to each other all the time. But we were basically the yin and the yang in high school. And once the girls didn't play our senior year, we had more time to support the boys team and really kind of get behind them and how well they did. So
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
was
That's
fun.
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Big
that
up to
was
Coffee,
fun.
man. Big up to Coffee. Definitely. Yeah, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was bent on going to UVI in like 10th grade. And I was like, man, I staying home. I'll be here with my family. I ain't going nowhere. And then something switched and changed at some point, and I started looking for schools in the States. So applied to a couple colleges, um, Morgan State in Maryland, University of UNC Asheville in North Carolina, Norfolk State University in Virginia, and University of Miami. And that, Miami application was only because Coffee was thinking about going to Miami at one point.
Yeah.
So, of course, I got into everywhere I applied to. And then when I saw how much it was to go to the University of Miami, I was like, oh, yeah, this isn't a real option. It
Yeah.
was like almost $60,000 a year. And I was like, this ain't it. Like, not at all. So, and then Coffee ended up not going there. So I felt better about not going. But ended up at Norfolk State University. It was funny. I remember when I was making the decision, I had all of my acceptance letters laid out on the dining table, all of my financial aid letters right next to them. And I'm like, I have to decide. It's like a week and a half before I have to figure out where I'm going and leave to go to that place. And I'm like crying. And my mom was like, just pick whichever one you want to go to. And, she was trying to be supportive, but I'm like
Yeah.
freaking out.
Ah.
And Norfolk State actually gave me the highest percentage of financial aid. So it was a financially based decision to go there. And it was a decision that definitely made the trajectory of my life, what it is. Had I not went there, I don't think my life would be the same. So definitely an amazing decision. Led to
So
a lot of. Oh, go ahead.
so what was it? So was it? So you chose Norfolk State. Was there a other school that you kind of wanted to go to, but you did? You know, I know you chose because of the financial,
Right.
aid. But was
Um,
there another school that was just a close second that you was thinking about going?
I think it might have been Morgan State. And I did it based on like class size, temperature. Hey, NSU alum.
Yeah.
Class size. I wanted to go somewhere where it snowed. I don't even know what I was
Okay.
thinking at that point. I guess I wanted to see snow, but I was like, oh yeah, I want to go somewhere that gets cold. But I wanted to go somewhere that had a relatively small student to teacher ratio because I went to St. Joseph
Okay.
and our class sizes were really small. I was a salutatorian, super smart, but I was accustomed to that, one on one kind of attention. So, hey, so I needed to go somewhere that was similar in setup to St. Joseph
Yeah, that's
because
smart.
I understood that that's how I succeeded in class. Like again, school is a system. If you could figure out the system, you could excel at it. So I knew that worked well for me. So I was like, yeah, let me go to a small school because I know I'm not going to necessarily pay attention if I'm in a class with 150 people. But if I'm in a class with 12 or 20 people, I'll do much better. So I
That's
think
true.
Morgan State, yeah, would have been second on the list, but I didn't understand the importance of attending an HBCU like out front because at home like our life is like an HBCU. We are with our people. We got culture. We do all this stuff,
Yeah. Yep.
and it's fun and we fit in and we don't necessarily feel ostracized in any particular way. But ended up at HBCU was definitely one of the most amazing decisions I could have made. So that was awesome.
Nice, nice, nice. So, how was it how was it your first day? First day, because I know you got to do like orientation and all that stuff, right? So how was that like? How was that? Did your mom travel with you, or did you go alone?
Right. So mom came with me because she ain't gonna leave her baby go nowhere
That's true.
herself. So we packed up like two massive suitcases. They were overweight and all this other stuff. Left St. Croix, and get to Virginia. I think this was maybe 2 weeks before school started, and I supposedly had everything together. But then I get there and I had no room, and my financial aid was a whole bunch of stuff. So we, hey, Mr. Hewitt, yes. Oh, I was always so happy. I'm still so very happy. At least that's what people say. You were one of my favorite teachers because you were always really cool. But anyway, first they had Norfolk State. So we get there, and the first thing you do is try to go check into your room so that you put your stuff down and go about your business. And we get there, and there was no room with my name on it. And my mom lost it. So she went to
that Anguilla came
oh,
out.
straight out, all the way out. So she was like, all right, you go handle your financial aid stuff. I'm fitting to go to housing and we gonna work through this thing. So I went and, I was doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And I come back to her. She got everything. She was best friends with the director of housing at this point. So like she got
Wow.
me a room. She got me everything. So she came up there and she was very much a
Awesome.
Caribbean mother. And, because she was like, I ain't leaving my child up here without a room and all this other stuff. So, got my financial aid and everything straight. And like, honestly, my life since then and probably from the beginning has definitely been divinely ordered and blessed by God because like she fought to get me in that room. I didn't get into the room that I was supposed to be in, that they had sent me an assignment for. But my roommate ended up being like the most amazing person I could ever ask for.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Her dad was from Barbados, where my mom's dad was from. So with her having that Caribbean background, she understood me when I had, this thick Caribbean accent. So that made the transition easier. She had been there a semester before, so she was familiar with school. She knew, the ins and outs of everything. She knew the people to stay away from. She knew the parties to go to. She knew
Yeah.
the when to go to the cafe and all these stuff. So she helped me really get acclimated much more quickly than if it was two newbies running around campus by themselves. So
That's true.
shout
Yeah.
out to Trisha. She's been amazing. We are still really good friends. I think my senior year, I went home with her for spring break, and her family was amazing. I mean, from day one, they embraced me as one of theirs. So it was really cool. I bought her mom a sweater that year when I went to visit, and her mom still has a sweater, still wears it
Oh
every year,
wow,
and will send me a picture in this sweater. So
that's
definitely
beautiful.
worked out, yeah, with my rooming situation and my roommate. So, mom stayed for a couple days. She made sure, I got everything together, and it was cool at Norfolk State. There was a big Virgin Islands contingent there, so I didn't feel out of place. Had friends basically on day one, and again, it was a HBCU, so I was around a whole bunch of Black people, and I didn't have to,
Yeah,
worry about anything. And I was different because I was from the Caribbean, but I wasn't different because I was Black. So I could deal with being different because I was from the Caribbean. That was fine. School worked out. Like I said, it was always mostly easy for me. Studied marketing in undergrad, had a really good time. I was a resident assistant for several years, for 3 years. I actually only lived with my roommate for 1 year. I wish I could have kept her all 4 years, but I had to further help my financial situation. So, getting free room on board definitely helped out a lot.
yeah, that helps out big time. That is, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. It's so
So,
expensive. Room and board is so expensive in college.
so did a little bit of work for it, but again, I had my own room, which worked out for me because I'm an only child, and sharing isn't always my forte. So living by myself definitely helped a lot, and it helped me
Yeah,
focus on school as well. So
yeah. All the only childs out there, they relate to you. They definitely relate to you.
exactly,
Us who
exactly.
have siblings, we can't relate.
Yeah, you don't know what it's like, and it's unfortunate, but at least you grew up with people. I grew up with cousins, so it wasn't like it was just me on an island by myself. I do know how to play well with others. I just choose not to sometimes.
Yeah.
So college was cool. I didn't play sports in college until senior year. So, and that's a funny
Oh
story
wow.
how that ended up. Yeah, I went to school for academics, so the whole sports vibe. Like, I went to sporting events, like you said. I came out to see you when you played up there that 1 year. Um, but I didn't. I was again wasn't focused on playing because I wasn't good enough to play anything, especially on the Division 1 college level. So I was just going to school. But the summer after my junior year, I had to go to summer school. And this is a quick sideline story for people with kids in college or kids in college or anybody. Make sure you take control of not your financial, your academic progress. Don't depend on the advisors to do it for you. Don't depend on anybody, your counselors, none of that. You pay attention to what you have to do because nobody's going to look out for you like you. The two marketing classes that I had to take that were only offered in the summer, they didn't tell us they were only offered in the summer. They just, would put them in the registration books and let you register, as necessary. So because I was on top of my academic progress, I had my course curriculum. I actually still have it 20 years later. I still have,
Oh wow.
this sheet of paper with all my classes listed on it. But I paid attention to everything that was in it, and I checked my classes off as I took them. And I realized that these two classes were never offered in the spring or the fall. And I'm like, yo, when am I supposed to take these classes? I know I'm graduating this spring, and y'all ain't keeping me here not 1 minute longer than I need to be. So I
Yeah.
need to focus on getting out. So realized that they were only offered in the spring. The year before I graduated, right, it was a chance to get out early because I was able to be finished in 3.5 years. Now, when it was time to be done that first semester, I was like, I ain't really ready to go to work. So let's take some easy classes this spring semester and stay one more semester.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing 4 full years, but I could have been done in 3.5. So went to summer school that summer and was able to do work study because I was living off campus for summer school. So ended up working in the financial aid office, and I only lasted a week. I was like, oh, the work in here is too hard, and I don't like this. I don't like people coming in here being angry, yelling at me, and I ain't did nothing to y'all. So the lady in financial aid that I was working for, she knew the tennis coach. So she was like, go talk to Coach Warren. He might have something for you to do. So I was like, cool. So I called him up, And he was like, yeah, you know, you could work in my office, you could help me out and, you know, be my assistant. So I worked in the tennis office for that summer, you know, got to meet the administrators and the people behind the scenes. Now, again, I had been to sporting events all 3 years and loved sports from the beginning, but didn't realize that there was a whole group of people behind the scenes kind of making everything go. So was able to get exposed to that, you know, did inventory for him, did some graphic design work for him, helped him finish his recruiting for the upcoming year. And when summer school was winding down and it was time for me to leave, he was like, man, you know, can you come back and work for me during the school year? And I was like, well, I can't get work study because I'm an RA, but, you know, I'll come and volunteer for you.
Yeah.
So he was like, man, it's a shame that I can't put you on scholarship. He was like, I wish you could play tennis. And I was like, I can a little bit. And he was like,
Wow.
for real? And I was like, yeah. So, you know, we went in the storage room, got some rackets and some tennis balls, and we went out to the court to hit. And he was like, oh, you can actually play. And I was like, kind of, a little bit. So he was like, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to give you a scholarship and you're going to come work for me next year. He was like, you know, we just filled the roster out, so you don't have to play if you don't want to, but you can. And I was like, bet, let's go. So came back the next year as a senior, worked in the office, you know, helped him with all the stuff, got really cool with a lot of the administrators. And then that spring semester, I think I may have played in like 1 or 2 matches, but I didn't really play for real. You won't gonna find no stats on me or none of that stuff.
No,
No, not at all.
I was hoping we was gonna get some stories. You know, you playing and
No,
you know.
no actual stories. I loved going to weight training, so that was fun. We had a full roster, so I didn't have to play. Like I said, I played in 1 friendly match, so it didn't even count. The 1 match that I kind of played in.
How did that match go?
I think it was a draw. I don't remember winning because it was like you usually have 6 people on a team. You know, you play 1 through 6, and I would have been like number 8 because we had some really good girls on our team. So they matched me with their number 8, and we were just out there kind of goofing off because again, it didn't count, so it really didn't matter. But I served mostly as kind of like a manager. So I did travel with the team a little bit and had fun. But yeah, so played tennis, and then like I said, I got to be around a lot of the administrators and saw what they did. So when I wanted to, you know, go work for a Fortune 500 company and, you know, wear suits every day, and I was going, you know, be this big time marketer. And I was like, oh, I could go work in sports. Like there are a lot of jobs available for people who aren't coaches in sports. So I started looking into going to grad school for sports management. Ended up finding the United States Sports Academy, which is the only sports specific university in the country to offer degrees. And actually that's where Dr. Christine Kelly got her doctoral degree from. So, you know, big up the United States Sports Academy. But ended up looking into it as a senior, ended up going there. I took a year off. Another piece of advice for kids in school, don't take time off. Go right into it because life changes a whole lot in a year. And if I hadn't taken that year off, it took me 4 years to finish a 2-year program. If I didn't take that year off, I probably would have finished in 2 years because a whole lot of life happened in the 3 of the 4 years. So yeah, if I started as soon as I graduated, it would have been a whole lot easier. So graduated in 2004. Selfishly, I'm glad that Cuffy didn't attend his graduation because I wanted to go to his more than I wanted to go to mine. But I think he had like an NBA tryout or something on the day of graduation because we were graduating on the same day. So, yeah, so I was like, okay, well, if he ain't going to his, then I don't have to go. So I'll go to mine. And actually that game that Pang and all of them went to where they surprised him for his senior day, I think it was, I was supposed to go to that game, but something happened and I couldn't get my plane ticket. So we had a basketball game at Norfolk State that day. I wore one of Cuffy's jerseys to our game to, kind of rep
Oh,
for him
nice.
on senior day. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
there.
awesome.
Yeah, missed a big game in his life, but I was there in spirit. So
Yeah, at
definitely.
least he was there in spirit, so that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so when right before I graduated, I went into one of our administrators' office in the athletics department, and I was like, "Look, I'm finna graduate, going traveling for the summer, going home, going everywhere. When I come back, I need a job. I need you to figure something out and give me a job."
Just like that, huh?
I mean, straight up, like, and him and I were kind of cool from me working with the tennis coach. So we had that relationship. We would joke with each other, but that's exactly like how I did it. I was like, yo, need a job when I get back. You're
Yeah.
gone until September. Hook me up. So we had a conversation. He was like, what are you working on in school? What are you learning? And we talked about it. And again, he actually was the marketing director and fundraiser for the athletics department. So I was like, hey, I'm a good writer, all this other stuff, studying marketing. So kind of right up his alley.
Yeah,
He
that's
was
true.
like, all right, yeah, give me a call. He was like, here's my card. Give me a call when you get back and we gonna make something work. And I did. So I got back, called him, and I ended up like being his office assistant for like a month. But again, it was a job. It was not paying well. Thank God for parents who were able and willing to financially assist me.
Yeah.
Because if it was not for them, I would not have made it. So worked for him in that office for about a month, and then he came in one day and he was like, "You're a good writer, right?" And I was like, "I'm okay, good enough." And he was like, "Go over to the sports information office and talk to the guy in there." And that's all he said. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go talk to somebody. Hey,
Okay,
Welcome,
Nance,
welcome.
what's up?
man, Mumba. All my friends are damn liars, my son. Every one are you. Man,
You almost get the guests spit out the water and everything. Hey, I ain't do nothing
it
wrong, Tiga, man. I ain't do nothing wrong. You know.
it was a crazy 2 days, man, but it's all about Karen tonight. So I can keep the focus on she, but man, I appreciate what you guys did this weekend. It
Yeah,
was a complete
congratulations.
surprise.
Yeah, much
It
love,
was
man.
a
Much love.
huge honor, a huge honor. I was completely surprised. So much love, man. Big up to my sister, Carrie Ann, who put all of this in motion, and everybody who helped her behind the scenes. Man, I was getting some hints, but I wasn't sure. But man, it was
We
amazing. Mobile, I wish I had been home. It
I know.
was
I wish I could have been there,
yeah,
man. But we will talk about it. So we'll continue with
yeah,
Karen. But
yeah.
I appreciate you. I know you had a busy weekend, so we definitely appreciate you coming on. So
Yeah, I just got
Absolutely.
home. It's crazy.
yeah. So go ahead.
Special
So
thing. We've been watching though. Me and Bang been in the car. We've been watching.
Okay.
From when you say you and Coffee was best friends and you used to do all the homework and stuff like that. All the time I thought you are smart, me, that you were doing the work for you. Jesus Christ.
See, no, you put words in my mouth. We were doing each other's work. We were assisting each other. Again, he was good in math and science. I was good in the other stuff. So it was team effort.
But I've been listening. We've been listening. Pang will be on shortly as well. But I mean, continue on. I'm gonna piggyback with some questions. And good night to the
Okay.
viewers, man. For everybody who gave me well wishes for my jersey being retired, I would like to say thank you. It's a completely great honor, unexpected, way out. It was never expected. So, and then Mumba gave a beautiful video when he was supposed to do 3 minutes, but he actually took 5 minutes. And then when he actually said it, everybody just bust out laughing. Like, it was crazy.
yeah, man.
That's
Very
funny.
good special kid, man. Continue.
Okay, so started working. So they told me to go see this guy in sports information, which is basically the statistics people, the media people, all that stuff. So I go to his office thinking, we just fit to have a conversation. And he has my resume, he has everything. So it ended up kind of being like an interview. But the guy that I was working with was his boss. So he had told him, hey, just hire her. So
Yeah.
they created like part-time position for me. Again, I was making $15,000 a year, so not a whole lot of money, but got into the field, got the exposure, learned how to do stats, learned how to write sports stories because that's different to regular writing. And got a good intro to it. So did that. That was 2004. Did it part-time till about 2007, and then they created a full-time position for me. So it was the first full-time position in that office as an assistant. And they expanded my role. I had more work to do, but I was getting more money, so I had to do more work, which was fine.
Yeah.
And learned a lot more, traveled a lot more, did a whole lot more things, and got to really get deep into the industry. So started working in 2004, started grad school in 2005. That year off, like I said, was a waste of time. Don't take any time off, kids. Don't do it.
That's true.
So life happened very much, and in trying to remember my years because I try to do things chronologically, but in 2007, 7 or 8, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
Ooh.
And that took a toll on everything. So from when I was in school, I didn't have a regular menstrual cycle. And they were like, oh, you're an athlete. Oh, you be lifting. Oh, all this other stuff. So it's fine. And, me being me, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let's go. Let's do this. So it was about, I think in 2003 when I started. And then years later, I never had a period. And I'm like, this isn't right. Yeah. And I had a period before. So it was, I knew something wasn't right. So once I became full-time at work and I got the good insurance, I was like, okay, it's been long enough. Let me start getting this stuff checked out. So went to the doctor, I think starting in 2007, and they literally tested me for everything under the sun and couldn't find what was wrong. So after about maybe 6 or 8 months of going through all kinds of tests, they were like, we don't have your cholesterol on record. Let's get that test done. So they did. And they ended up finding that one of my hormone levels was out of control. So basically the hormone that allows pregnant women to create breast milk was way high in my body. A normal non-pregnant female, her numbers would be 40 to 80 units. Mine was 700.
Wow.
So, yeah, my stuff was completely out of control. Yeah, like out of control. So basically, my body was telling itself that I was pregnant. So of course, when you're pregnant, you don't have a menstrual cycle. So
yeah, that's true.
What ended up happening was I had a really big tumor pressing on my optic nerve. So towards the end of it, I couldn't see. Like my peripheral vision was just kind of blacked out, and I would see spots sometimes, and I had headaches, and I couldn't explain any of this stuff. So yeah, and again, this was going on. The effects happened maybe in the last 6 months, but again, I would have headaches and all this other stuff for quite a while. So I had prayed about it. I said, God, I don't know what's going on, but fix it. I said, you know what it is. Help these doctors to figure it out. So when they finally, run all these tests and get the results, they send me to a specialist, and he was like, yeah, you got brain. I did an MRI, and it was like, yeah, you got brain tumor. And I was like, oh, okay. And my first question was, so am I going to have to cut my hair? Because, I started my locks the year before, and, I was so faithful in knowing that I was going to work something out. I didn't care. I just was more concerned about my hair. So he looked at me like, that's what you're concerned about? And I was like, yeah, because you're going to fix it. So, let's go. So I ended up not having to have surgery. They put me on 3 different medications, but one specifically to shrink the tumor. It shrunk in about a year, but the side effects from the medication were pretty bad. More headaches, ironically. It felt like a burning sensation in my brain because it was, working to actively shrink the tumor. So for a while, that was problematic, and I take it once a week. I'm still on all the medications, but tumor's completely gone. But for the first couple months, like when it was actively reducing the tumor, it would just feel like I had a burning sensation on my brain. Depression came with it, with mixing two of those medications. So that was still something I deal with, something I dealt with then. Have been to therapy several times. Therapy has changed my life and helped me to, grow into the person that I am today. And it affected my memory. So there's some things that I just can't remember. My short-term memory isn't as great as it needs to be still. But I've been able to navigate through it. It's been 12 years now. The tumor was gone in about 8 months. I check in every 6 months with the doctor. I do testing, check all my levels. And at one point I was like, I need to get off this medication. I want to be medication free and all this stuff. So they took me off for 6 months and I did fairly well. My numbers did go up a little bit, not too high outside of normal, but the doctor was like, if you're not really having any more issues or any new issues with it, just stay on. So I still take all the medications because I had other issues. My skin was messed up. I was heavy. So I thought I was heavier after graduating college because, once I stopped playing, I was still eating like I was an athlete. And, I still like to lift heavy. So, muscles heavier than fat, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But I couldn't lose the weight because my body thought I was pregnant. So I had like weight issues when I got on all the medications and everything kind of normalized, like the weight dropped immediately. My face looked different. And, I was able to kind of navigate life a little better. So still take everything, but I'm fine now. They extended my checkups to once a year now. So doing good from that aspect. But I had all of that going on with school. I had my grandmother, my dad's mom had passed in that time, had to have a different kind of surgery. So I had a lot going on. So kids, again, if you're going to go to grad school, go right after undergrad.
That's tough.
Yeah. So, was able to make it through all of that. Worked at Norfolk State until 2010. Then I left there and went to Baltimore City Community College. One of the former coaches at Norfolk State ended up becoming the AD at that JUCO in Baltimore. And she was like, my sports information director, his contract is up in the summer, which is code for being fired in athletics. And I went to Baltimore. She brought me up there, was making much more money than I was making at Norfolk State, and had good experiences, even though it was JUCO. The only bad thing was that I was part-time, so I couldn't get health insurance. And the medication for the tumor was really expensive. It was about $200 a pill. And I had to take one every week. So that's for a month. And then they filled my prescription in 3-month increments. So that's 12 pills, whole lot of money with no insurance.
Wow.
So thankfully, I think it was Walgreens. So it was my pharmacy at the time. They had like a uninsured plan or whatever. So it reduced, I think my $1,200 bill ended up being like $500 or $600. But that's still a lot of money to have to pay just for one set of medication. So pharmaceutical industry in the United States needs help or needs reform. Let's say that.
It's true.
But yeah, so worked JUCO for a total of 3.5 years. That was a different experience because again, I had only done Division I. I'd only done 4-year institutions at that point. And Baltimore is a special place. Our school was one street over from where they filmed The Wire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we were in the hood. We were in the hood.
That's my favorite show. My favorite show.
I lived that stuff every day for quite a while. And it was scary. It was different because, I was coming from Norfolk State where I had been for a total of 10 years. I was comfortable there. I had known everything and everybody. To kind of go off of myself into this big city where we were in the hood was kind of shocking. But I had good people in the department with me. And like I said, I knew my boss going in. So that made it easier. I taught classes while I was there. So I dipped into teaching a little bit, which, was interesting. I realized that I don't like to grade homework. So that was, kind of counterintuitive for a teacher. But we did good. We had a really good men's basketball team. We had a really good men's basketball team. We made it to basically the JUCO version of the Elite 8, one of the years I was there. I got to travel a lot with them as well, and just got to see what JUCO life was about. Lived in Baltimore for a year, ended up moving back to Virginia after that first year. Another word of advice to anybody, if you're going to get a new job, don't make any moves until you sign your paperwork. Didn't sign my paperwork before I moved back to Virginia, and the job ended up falling through. So I didn't get the job. So I moved back to Virginia, technically not having a job, but they kept me on in Baltimore. So I worked from home for the last 2 years of that contract. We would have home games, and the schedule was light enough to where I could basically go to Baltimore for like a week and cover, volleyball and basketball. And then for the next like 2 or 3 weeks, we wouldn't have any home games. So I didn't have to be there. So it kind of worked out. And my boss was, very gracious in working with me because she was like, as long as the work is done and the games are covered when they need to be, we're good. So did that for as long as I could. And did that in December 2013. Did some consulting and freelance work for a while, working in sports information. I'm the person who does the stats that the media gets. So that's a well-liked skill, a necessary skill at universities. So I was able to, schools that needed somebody to fill in or people that didn't have anybody, I would offer my services. Thank you, Mr. Hewitt. And would work with Christine at her CIAA schools for their conference tournaments and all that stuff. So was able to kind of keep my name out there, do good work in the industry, even though, I was looking for a job. So did that for about 4 months, ended up going to South Carolina State in South Carolina as the assistant media relations director. So doing the same thing, stats, stories, all that stuff. That was interesting because it was my first time like down south, and I don't want to say I'm bossy, but I kind of am. And they brought me in there to kind of fix their department. So I'm like, all right, you bring me in as a fixer, I'm gonna come in and fix what needs to be fixed. Well, they didn't take too lightly to having a young girl tell them what to do because athletics is a male-dominated industry. Then you get these guys down in the South that just don't listen to women. So first couple months there were a struggle because they just wouldn't listen to me. But I just kept my head down, did the work that I needed to do. And when they saw how great I was at everything, then, the respect came. So I was able to make a lot of differences down there. Ended up getting handed, had therapy sessions with counselors, did journaling and yoga and meditation. Answer to the question.
Okay, so yoga, meditation, journalism, and therapy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. And journaling actually helped a whole lot because it helped me to get all my thoughts out on paper and it made me feel better. The one thing I will tell people about therapy or any of that kind of stuff, even rehab from injuries, is to continue going. Like, don't stop when you get better because that's how you end up back in a bad situation. You got to finish your therapy. You got to finish your rehab. You got to do everything till the end because if you stop prematurely, you lose out on some of the benefits. So go all the way through.
That's true.
So yeah, back to South Carolina. Ended up just getting the marketing stuff handed to me. I got there in April. They fired the marketing director in August, and I worked with like one of the assistant ADs to kind of just get through football. I took over the internship there, which the kids helped me out, and we made it through the year. And I come back in January, and they hand out a new organizational chart, and they're like, Karen Carty marketing, and I'm like, y'all ain't gonna talk to me about this. You just gonna hand it to me without even saying anything. But I took it and I ran with it, and I was able to make a big difference that year. That was 2015. Did a digital marketing campaign for football. Was able to increase season ticket sales, ultimately increase attendance, and we were ranked in FCS that year in the top 10 in attendance. Got an award for it. Did a whole bunch of good things. Enhanced the game environment for football. And just made our games a different experience. So that was pretty cool. The following year, I got the Staff Employee of the Year award for athletics for all the work I had done in 15.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, that was a funny story too. So they had this ceremony for the award show on a Sunday, and we had traveled the Saturday for basketball. So I'm tired, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, man, I gotta go up to this school and go to this ceremony and pick up this award. So I go in there with kind of like a lit attitude, but then, I check myself. I was like, hey, they didn't have to give it to me. So let me chill. So we up on the stage, and I really don't like going to those events. I'm accustomed to planning those kind of events. So I'm always like running around in the back doing something or just busy somewhere so I don't have to pay attention because my attention span is non-existent sometimes. I think that's related to the medication, but whatever. So it's hard for me to focus. I hate going to events. So I'm on the stage, so I gotta like pay attention and look like I'm engaged in all this stuff. So they call me up for my award, and I'm like, oh, thank you. So we go back and sit down, and I'm like, all right, is this thing over? And they were like, no, they give out an overall award, so it's like the best of the best. And I'm like, really? We gotta sit here for another award? Like I'm up there like talking trash, and I was like, again, Karen, just chill. So they, read off all the things a person gets. Free parking for a year, $250. You get this nice glass plaque and some other stuff. And then they call my name, and I'm like, oh my God, wait, what? So I won the overall Staff Employee of the Year award. And I go up there and I have like, the face the beauty contestants have when they don't know they're going to win and then they actually win it. I actually had that, and it was totally funny.
That's funny.
But, it was pretty cool to be recognized for work that I did by my peers and just cool to make a difference. So that was kind of awesome.
That's amazing. Well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved for real. Congratulations, by the way. Belated congratulations.
Thank you. Definitely appreciate that. So, stayed at South Carolina State for about a year after that. Did some traveling, played in bowl games, did a whole bunch of cool stuff.
Can I ask you a question before you jump?
Sure.
So, for some of the audience who are out there listening to you, you said you bounced from JUCO to Division One. You were pretty much covering sports. What's some of the differences you realize in terms of Division One and JUCO? What are some? Because I've never been to JUCO. So, what should an athlete, if they live in the Virgin Islands, should be expecting at the JUCO level compared to a Division One level?
Nice question.
So yeah, the resources are definitely different, and like resources across the board. So the JUCO that I was at, we didn't have housing at all. Like there was no on-campus housing. So the guys we helped them find housing, but they lived in apartments. They lived kind of wherever they could afford to. I don't remember if our scholarships covered or gave them a room and board stipend, but be prepared to pay for that on your own. Find your own housing. Because we couldn't provide housing, we couldn't provide meals, or like they didn't have campus meals. So making sure our student athletes were well fed and sticking with their proper nutrition was a big task for us, because we didn't even have we had like a deli on campus. It wasn't a real cafeteria. It wasn't like a legit place. So they'd have to go and pay for everything that they ate. Whereas, at Division One, you go to the cafe, you swipe in and you eat what you want. So definitely a big difference. You got to keep up with your own nutrition there. We did a good job of providing academic services for them. And it's only core classes at that point. So you're dealing with your basic math, science, Englishes. So in terms of schooling, like you don't get into your major really at that point. So just be prepared to do the basic stuff. But the way you travel is different. We had a little kind of shuttle bus that we would ride for hours to go to games. Division One, you got the big luxury 56 passenger bus. That's a smoother ride. But it's a lot more like high school at certain JUCOs, because there's some JUCOs who operate better than some Division One schools in certain places. But the one I was at, we were kind of low resource. We made a good experience for our student athletes, but we were challenged kind of in several areas.
That's a great example, because a lot of people doesn't really have the idea what's the difference between JUCO, Division One, NCAA Division Two, even an NAIA. We hear the names, but To us in the
Right.
Virgin Islands, we don't really know what's the real difference between them. And like you say, it's the resources. And pretty much the higher the name in terms of NCAA and in terms of major colleges, the resources definitely goes up.
Oh yeah, Lord, yeah. And with one of the foundational differences with JUCO is a 2-year experience at max, and their job is to get you to the next level. So where you go to a JUCO, their big thing is how many Division 1 athletes do we have, or how many 4-year kids can we get out of our program? Whereas at a 4-year institution is how well does this player develop over these 4 or 5 years? So the foundational goal is different because JUCO, let's get my good guys to Division 1. Division 1 is let's develop these guys and win championships. Of course, winning championships on a JUCO level is important as well, but the ultimate goal is to get those players off to a Division 1 school or the highest level that they can get to. So it's different. You rotate through players every 2 or 3 years, whereas Division 1 you have them for 4 or 5, and it makes a difference in just how you approach recruiting and your program and all of that stuff. So quite a few differences.
One more question I want you to hit on. Could you explain to some of the young athletes who are watching this podcast tonight in terms of why do most athletes would take the JUCO route and not the NCAA route, and talk about the qualifications? Because what I know, pretty much the ones who didn't make the grade from the SAT and stuff like that had to go to the JUCO route. Probably the ones who got in trouble, because it's not the degree of talent, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of great players are in JUCO, but the
Right.
fact that they didn't qualify for NCAA Division 1, could you speak a little bit more on that so you can let some of the younger audience understand the importance of education and getting good grades?
Right. So like straight up, like what Tegan said, go to school, figure out how to do well, figure out how you learn, because that is ultimately important in how you get into school, which school you get into, if you stay in school. So most people end up going JUCO because they don't necessarily have the grades to get into Division 1. I don't remember the grade standards right now in terms of SAT, ACT, and GPA, but do as well as you can. Let's just go with that. But yeah, grades, and like Tegan said, talent level doesn't necessarily mean anything because you have some of the best players everywhere that go to JUCO. So you may need some more development. You may need some more attention. The 4-year school that you may be interested or that's interested in you may not have space on the roster for you. So they send you to a JUCO, have you develop, wait till they get space on that roster, bring you in, and then you play your last 2 or 3 years at a 4-year. Yes, exactly what Langelo said. So I can't stress the importance of getting good grades. The NCAA clearinghouse has minimums, and if you don't meet those minimums, you ain't going D1, D2, or probably 3. So go to school, do well, learn how you learn. That helps people a lot because some people don't do well with reading and comprehending to regurgitate that information out, or some people do better with highlighting or whatever. Figure out how you learn best and kind of stick to it and make it work for you. Did I answer your question?
Very
That's
well.
well said. Yeah, that's true.
We got my boy Beanie Pan. He hiding somewhere inside my home. Hopefully he can hear me.
I had to get somewhere with more light, man. I could barely see myself. What's up, Karen?
What's up? Good to see you finally.
Likewise, man. Sorry, man. We had a little technical difficulties on our side.
Oh, that's fine. Glad you were able to make it. Oh Lord. Go ahead.
Listening to the story we were watching from the beginning, so we all just glad that you here sharing that story with us, and you got interesting one. So I just got 15 with my question when it popped into my head. I ain't got on right now, but just keep sharing and one will come.
Cool. All right. So Jason asked about the clearinghouse. Now, granted, the same in wheelhouse, so I don't want to mess anything up. But It's essentially a portal on the website where you have to like register, wait, to be a student athlete on the NCAA level. So they ask for things like your high school transcripts, your grades, your SAT, ACT scores. And of course, those scores have changed since we've been in school. So I don't even know like what they are now, and they don't make sense to me. But it's where they basically do a background check on you as a student athlete, and let you know if you're qualified to play NCAA sports. So it's kind of where they do their background check. Scores, GPA requirements vary from school to school. Somebody just asked that question. I know here at Bradley, we just reduced our required GPA from, I think, 3 or 3.5 to a 2.5. So
Oh wow.
people, yeah, can get in. It's a private school out here, so they have different standards than other schools. But some schools, in terms of admitting requirements, so schools have their requirements and the NCAA has theirs. The NCAA requirements are lower than most schools, so that they can catch everybody. Some schools have higher standards. So look into what your school requires, the potential school. Make sure you understand all of that, and look early so you can strive towards it. You don't want to wait till you're a senior and figure out that you need, this high SAT score, and you've already taken the SAT twice and you don't have that score. So check as early as possible so you can make sure you're hitting your goals.
It's good information.
Yep, definitely.
Important. Yeah, very important.
Right. So
You
back to
just
the story. Oh, go ahead.
you just mentioned you were here in Raleigh. You in Raleigh, North Carolina?
No, I am in Peoria, Illinois, way up north. 3 hours south of Chicago. Everybody, like I tell people I live in Illinois, and then they were like, "Oh, how's Chicago?" I don't live in Chicago. I live in Peoria.
Peoria.
3 hours south, it is where Richard Pryor is from. So, fun fact about Peoria, Illinois.
That's true. Yeah.
Why you don't like to claim Chicago? What going on in Chicago?
Not that I just don't live there. I like to be honest about
Chicago
things that
City,
everybody. Huh?
Tegan. She's not in Chicago City, Tegan. She is in another city.
Right. Yeah. So I like to be honest.
I thought it was another reason because I know some things to be happening up there.
Yes, definitely. It's a beautiful city, but they do have, some issues up there. See, Langelo know all this stuff. She's a person to, yes, deal with all of that. I do the marketing and the media part, but she knows it. So yeah, sliding scale. Yes, that actually makes sense. That's what they do. So if you have a low test score, but your GPA high, then, you could enter still, and vice versa. You could never really get ready for the weather. It's cold, and I don't necessarily like the cold, but I've learned to function in it, and yeah, it'll come, and I'll be here.
I probably missed the part. How long have you been in Illinois?
Just over a year. I got here in August 2019. Actually didn't get to that part, so you didn't miss it.
Okay.
Yes, it's been a year. I did my first winter. I survived it mostly. And I need to move somewhere warmer soon. So back to the story. So end of 2016, our athletic director at South Carolina State took a job at Grambling State University in Louisiana. So jokingly, I was like, "Yo, man, you know my number. Get me out there." And he was like, "Yeah, for sure, because they got opportunity out there and we could go rock it." And I was like, "Seriously?" And he was like, "Yeah." So about 4 months later, in April, I went out to Grambling as the assistant AD for marketing, communications, and something else. Long title, don't remember it. But basically, over marketing, over the sports information and external areas. That was kind of a culture shock. Never thought I would have been living in Louisiana. Went from one really small town in South Carolina to an even smaller town in Louisiana. So that was a difference. But I made it. The history at Grambling is amazing. Nice. Yeah, 45 minutes. Wish I would have known. But the history out there is amazing. Eddie Robinson, was one of the greatest football coaches in HBCU history, definitely in college football history. Doug Williams played for and coached at Grambling, got to meet him several times being out there. And, we do things differently out on the East Coast. And MEAC people always give SWAC people a hard time, but it is like a different, yeah, big facts. It is a different world out there in the SWAC, and it's just different. So, it ain't like good or bad or better or not. It's just different. And, was able to experience a lot of those things firsthand, man. And it was tough, but it was amazing. And I got to grow while I was there, got to do a whole lot of cool things for work. When I got there, they had just installed a turf field for football, and we got a new jumbotron, so that made my job a whole lot more fun. I didn't get into the nitty gritty of what I do, but basically, as a marketing director, everything you see and hear at any game, by baseball, basketball, football, whatever, I am in charge of. That's not the actual game. So in terms of basketball, anything that's not talking about the players running up and down the field and court and scoring is what I'm in charge of. So anything you see on the video board, anything the PA announcer says that, again, is not related to the game, any presentations, when the lights go on and off for the intros, all that stuff is what I'm in charge of creating and executing. So I'm on headset during the game, telling the people in the control room, telling the people in the production truck, telling the music people and the lights people what to do at all times. I am very specific when it comes to timing, because timing is important, especially when you're doing TV games. So I am a stickler for time. I will yell at you over the headset. I will, that nice person kind of goes away if you're not doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, because especially in football, teams get penalties based on, delay of games and, stuff like that. So it's never my intention to have my team penalized for anything that I did or didn't do. So even when you have like flyovers at football games and all those things, like I'm responsible for coordinating all of those. Did a few of those. Definitely my least favorite thing to do because there's so much involved with a flyover. But that's kind of what my job is. So did that at Grambling, was able to turn around their marketing program in terms of promotions and sponsorships, but just enhance the game day environment. They were kind of winging it out there, and I don't do well with winging it at a game. We need a script and we need to stick to it. So I was able to, and again, it was the same situation at South Carolina where, this outsider is coming in and telling everybody what to do and making them stick to what I say. And they had a problem with it, that first year. Once they saw how well it went, they chilled out a whole lot. So, they would call me, oh, Karen, we need this. We need you to do this. We need you to be on this committee. And, was able to definitely make a big impact while I was there. Stayed for 2.5 years at Grambling. Learned a lot, traveled a lot, saw more of the South and Southwest than I had ever thought I would in life. Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, spent a lot of time in those states at games. One thing that the MEAC will never have over the SWAC, and it pains me to say this, we'll never beat them in football attendance ever in life. They play their classics are serious events, and they play those football games in literally professional stadiums. So I think my first or second year at Grambling, we played in 4 NFL stadiums in that 1 year. We played at Soldier Field. We played at the Superdome. Oh, God. Okay, I'm going to finish this statement and I'm going to get to that question. Played in the Superdome. We played at NRG Stadium in Houston, and then we played in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta where the Falcons play. I think we were one of the first football games in there. So, we can't beat attendance records when you got 65,000 people in the Superdome, to see a game with Grambling and Southern. So definitely a great experience. Loved having my time there. Okay, question. Okay, wow. That is a good question. So I guess it would depend on what the kid wants in terms of wanting more training. They would have a chance to develop more. I guess depending on the situation too, because some D1 or D2 programs could give them the training they want if they redshirt for a year if they're not necessarily ready. So I think it just is what the kid needs, considering their athletic needs and academic needs. If you're not that strong academically, you could go to a JUCO, figure out the school system, get the training that you need, and go that route. Or if you have, especially if there's a D1 or D2 that will allow you to kind of develop for that first year. So you can redshirt because they have a full roster, whatever the sport is. That'll give you a chance to, again, get in, get acclimated to college life, because that's a big transition from high school, and learn how that goes, and then still develop athletically at the same time. It was a second part to the question. Don't really remember.
I'll pull it up for you.
Also, has anyone been drafted from JUCO? Baseball players get drafted from JUCO, right? It's a thing.
Yeah, and to add on to what you talk for JUCO, if you're a baseball player, right, and you're talented, and you want to get drafted, or you on the verge of getting drafted, or maybe you need a year of seasoning up, it's better to go to JUCO than a Division One. If you go to Division One as a baseball player, you're not gonna get drafted your freshman or sophomore year. You gotta wait all the way until your junior year. So you risk injury, you risk a lot of stuff could go left, And the competition level in Division One is a little bit more challenging. So if you have a lot of talent, you could kind of get past the JUCO and kind of put some eyes on yourself and get an opportunity. So for a baseball player, I'm speaking of for.
Right. So yeah, I think that sufficiently answers the question. So Graham, that was pretty cool. Oh,
in terms of the collegiate fan, the SWAC, you said the SWAC and the MIAC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who threw the best campus party?
So God, I hate why you put me out here like this. I mean, telling the people business. So I think it's the SWAC, because a lot of the schools are in these really, really small towns. There ain't nothing else to do out there. So, the party is the thing. So, they party well, they turn up. They just do things differently on that side of the world. But I'm MIAC all day, so I don't know. Toss up.
Yeah.
I gotta go MIAC because. But yeah, life out there. And again, they have a lot of these games at these neutral site stadiums because their towns can't accommodate the attendance. So like for homecoming at Grambling, we literally shut the city down because the city is a 4-5 square miles. So it's a teeny tiny little town, and you get 25,000 people coming into town for one weekend. Like everything is shut down, so they have to stay in different cities. Grambling is in between Shreveport and Monroe, where are the bigger cities, still very small. But people stay 45 minutes out and come in and party and hang out and do all these different things. So it's a different life out there. Definitely interesting, definitely good one, just different. So was able to make some big changes at Grambling. Started the marketing internship program there. Had some really amazing students who work with me and for me. Love them. I trained them so well that they were able to pull a trick on me for my birthday, I think in 2019, just before I left. So again, I'm the one who plans out everything that happens during the game. So I plan halftime for all the events. So we got this basketball game the day before my birthday, and the kids come in and tell me, Miss Karen, we need 8 minutes during halftime for a special presentation. And I was like, look, y'all, don't be out here doing no dumb stuff. I don't want y'all to do anything for me. Just chill. Of course, they didn't listen. So they planned this big event where they had the band play Happy Birthday for me. They had the announcer read this really long bio about me. The AD brought out. They took me to half court, and when I realized what was going on, I like tried to run away, and they like
Wow.
physically held me and like pushed me out there. And they had the AD wheel out a cake with candles on it, and everybody in the arena is singing "Happy Birthday." And I was really proud of them for putting on a good show, but I did fuss them out for putting me on Front Street like that. But definitely worked with some amazing interns in South Carolina and at Grambling, and was able to make a difference in their lives. So I was excited about that.
That's awesome. That's awesome what it did for you, man. That's beautiful.
You know that I tried to get to South Carolina on a scholarship and they turned me down. They sent me to a JUCO.
What school?
So, South Carolina.
University of South Carolina. Different schools. South Carolina State or South Carolina?
So you was at the Gamecocks?
No, I was at the Bulldogs, South Carolina State.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant. South Carolina State tried to give me a scholarship, but they last minute they shut me down, and I caught them at Jacksonville, and I make sure I destroy them by 35 points.
Well, you got your revenge. I'm here for it.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh yeah. So left Grambling in 2019. Came up here to Bradley. It was my first PWI, first private school. Came as the assistant AD for marketing and fan engagement. So basically, I handled the marketing for women's volleyball, basketball, and softball. I am the sport administrator for softball. So I basically oversee the softball program, budgets, scheduling, all that stuff. What else do I do? I'm the licensing, I'm the brand police. So basically anybody that uses our marks, here is our Bradley logo. Anybody that uses this logo, the approval has to come from me. And most recently, after all the civil and racial unrest in the country this year, they added diversity initiatives to my title. So I handle all of the social justice programming and race relations stuff in the department, for the department. One lady retired, so I'm actually in charge of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, which is like SGA for athletics. And then we have a diversity issue at Bradley. It's a whole bunch of white people, not a lot of Black people, not a lot of people of color. So I am on everybody's diversity and inclusion board and committee and all that stuff. We had a new president who started in May. He came in and immediately recognized some of the issues that Bradley has in the terms of, diversity and inclusion. And he created a racial equity advisory board. I serve on that board. We actually just wrapped up our recommendations on how to fix racism at Bradley, or how to make systemic changes to make Bradley a more inclusive campus. So we just finished our report.
You getting paid for that?
No extra.
You say you get all these good without money? We sending a letter to Bradley.
I get to make a difference. And I couldn't imagine, I went to a HBCU, so I don't have any idea. Oh, wait. Yeah. Don't have any idea what it's like for these Black student athletes to go be at a white school where everybody's like white, or everybody, nobody looks like you. I don't know what that's like. Like, my college experience was fun. Hey, Zorro. Had so much, interaction with people who look like me, even though we weren't the same. If everybody was quiet in a room, we all looked alike. And it's the complete opposite here. So if I could do anything to help, our Black student athletes and students of color in general here, I'm obviously doing that, because they don't get to see people who look like us, period. And they definitely don't get to see those people in positions of power who can affect change. So even though they're not paying me any extra yet, I'm happy to do the work because it'll make a difference.
That's awesome. Well, we're gonna have Tegan definitely make some calls.
Right. I'll take your money.
Do all that, all good and said and done. That's all good. Your heart is good, but you will get paid. Get your money, man. Get your money.
Oh, Langelo jumped right to the good question.
That was my
So,
question, by the way. That's a question that I had saved. Tegan and Pang always ask all the good questions, so I make sure I had a good one, and then Langalo just steal it.
right.
So
So, the short answer right now is not really. I don't necessarily want to be an AD. Thank you. But people keep saying that I'm AD material. And, I get it. I understand. So it's too much politics for me. I like to kind of stay close to the front lines where I can affect change and where I can actually make the change. On the AD level, you have people doing the work for you. So, you kind of get a little far removed from the actual work. And then you got to supervise people. And I've come to learn over the last 16 years that coaches are interesting people and you have to deal with all of their personalities and you have to manage them well. So I don't necessarily want to be an AD. It is definitely a path that is an option for me though, and I'm preparing for it even though I don't necessarily want it. I stay close to my current AD. I'm actually one of his advisors. We talk all the time. I pay attention to the decisions that he makes and why he makes them, and we talk a lot about that. So I'm always in his mind as an AD, so I can learn from him. Very close with all of my other former ADs as well. So, they've served as mentors and I look at what they do, understand how they think so that if one day I end up being somebody's AD, I'll be ready. So short answer, no, but preparing for it.
that's good. That's good.
So yeah, I think that's mostly it of the journey. The future is probably really bright. Like I
Facts.
said, preparing for several different paths. I don't know how much longer I'll do the actual marketing thing because I'm getting kind of old for it, getting kind of tired of, being this close to the front line in terms of game day and all that stuff. But there is a market for, my skill set. So it could be one, possibly being somebody's AD, maybe at a lower level school where it's not a whole lot of politics to deal with. Because the higher you go, the more political it gets. And I don't really do well with kissing butt and doing all that other stuff. So, I like to shoot straight. I like to do what's best for the student athletes and not have to be ruled by money. So Tegan mentioned the Gamecocks earlier, University of South Carolina, one of my best friends works there. And they made $141 million off of football last year between their ticket sales and TV deal. So they were going to find a way to play this year. And I'm like, the pandemic's here, coronavirus is everywhere. So you're going to risk these students' lives to make your money. And, when you get to that high level SEC, Power 5, all those other schools, the money becomes a little more important. And I always make decisions with my heart. And, those student athletes' lives, their health and safety is paramount to me. So I don't care how much money it is. If it's not safe for them to play, and if I can't protect them, we ain't playing. So, once you get that high, you gotta make decisions related. Oh, go ahead.
Let me ask you. So that's a very important thing you just said, because that was going to be my next question. What kind of measures you put in place in terms of student athletics in Bradley? What are some of the measures you take? And obviously, you have just answered one of my questions. You're not putting the students at risk, but do you have students on campus now? What are some of the safety measures you guys are looking to put in place in terms of getting back to sports?
Right. So so let me answer Langolo question. I probably wouldn't work for the NCAA because college athletics, the landscape is changing with name, image, likeness, all the pandemic stuff. So honestly, I don't know if the NCAA gonna be around 10, 15 years. I would more go the route of doing something on my own, consulting, and I'll get into that, but just something where I could control it and I could directly affect the people that I'm working with it for. So back to Tegan. So our students are back. They were insisting on bringing them back to campus, and they did. We lasted 13 days before we had to go into quarantine as a university. But once they went into quarantine for 2 weeks, most of them did what they're supposed to do, and we came out on the right side of it. So our numbers university-wide are down, but in athletics, we've been testing about 25% of our student athlete population weekly. Once basketball, we didn't have any fall sports, so everything is going to be played in the spring, which is going to be an interesting thing.
Wow.
But we're getting ready to play basketball, and once we get in, NCAA regulations require that we test 3 times a week. Students are leaving campus on November 20th. The season starts on the 25th. So we'll essentially be back into the bubble that we were into on campus during the summertime. We try to have them limit their exposures, don't go anywhere off campus unless it's, to get groceries. If you live on campus, just go to the caf, go to class. If you're in-person classes, if not, stay online. But we test them before they come into the athletics building, check temperatures. We do a survey every day to check symptoms and all that. So we have a lot of measures in place. But being over community service now with the student athlete SGA vibe, I'm also over community service, and our kids are very community service oriented, and they always want to go out and do stuff, and they wanted to go work at the polls on election day. And, that was one of the things we presented to them as an option to, kind of help in the social justice area. But when they asked to actually go out, I was like, I can't approve this for you because I don't want to go serve as a poll worker, because I'm not going to go stand in a building all day with thousands of people coming in, not knowing if I'm going to get sick or not. So if I wouldn't do it for me, I can't put you in that situation. So I've been actively trying to keep them as safe as possible. I know they probably don't like me because I haven't approved any of their volunteer requests, but doing my part to keep them safe.
Hey, that's true. Safety, health and safety is number one.
Right, because their parents didn't send them here for us to put them in harm's way. So, that's the approach I'm taking with it. And I told my AD that last week, and he's used that premise, and he's very aware of, or very empathetic to people's situations. So he wasn't going to put them in situations that, would harm them anyway. But when I voiced to him how serious I was about not approving anything because I couldn't have anything happen to them, he took it, a step further, and we had to cancel some things that he wasn't comfortable with and stuff like that. Well, we offer, in terms of the general school population, we offered students to go fully online. Some of them took it up. So we have a lot of international students here. So some didn't even come back to the US for the semester because they're doing online. We're testing, they do 250 random tests every week for the university. And then we have our own testing in athletics. And I actually got pulled twice to do the random testing for the university. So I actually got tested, I think last Monday, came back negative. Thank you. But I've been working from home since it started. So I've been, staying safe in my little workspace. And they've been taking different measures to, like I said, we shut down for 2 weeks. That was a big thing. The kids hated it, but our numbers spiked tremendously after that first week.
Oh,
so
wow.
that 2 week shutdown, our positivity rate shot up to 16%. And the allowable rate for being open in the state is 8. So we were double that. Sent them home for 2 weeks, told them to keep still, not do anything. And then we got the positivity rate down to under 1%. So, it worked.
Yeah, too. Was anyone hospitalized during this spike?
That I don't know. I know none of our student athletes were. They were just quarantined. We have a partnership with one of the local hotels here. So they had space on campus. They identified one dorm. Don't know how many rooms in that dorm for quarantine. So once that filled up, we sent them to a hotel because we had really stringent contact tracing policies. So we only had 50 cases on campus when we closed, But because like they were really strict on contact tracing, we had 500 people in quarantine. So several kids were out of class, a couple staff members, all that stuff. So they were like, let's shut down, restart, everybody keep still, do what you're supposed to do. And we, came out a little better on the other side. So they got 3 more weeks in school, and then they go home for 2 months. And hopefully, I don't know what's going to
No, but
happen in
I understand how everything is going. I just want to figure out what's the method of retesting all those people who was in quarantine, because we keep hearing about asymptomatic and stuff like that, and then they go home for 14 days and come back and now they magically heal like they eat Jack in a Bill stock or some crap. But are you retesting those people who was positive? Like, do you have methods to retest the people who was deemed positive to make sure that they are indeed cured?
Nobody died. I think we may have one or two athletes who experienced like serious symptoms, but they, recovered and were fine. So trying to think, if you test positive in athletics, you will eventually get tested again because we test a percentage of every team every week. So at some point you will be tested again. They say, you got 3 months of immunity, and that you may have a positive test within those 3 months, even if you're not necessarily positive. So we've been just following the CDC guidelines closely as they change, because they've been changing, and kind of keeping up with that. But I think they do retest the people who've tested positive just to make sure that they aren't, positive anymore. But with the understanding that you may register a false positive because you've had it. So I think they do a different test where they look for the antibodies versus, whatever else. They had me in those meetings. I kind of didn't pay attention as close as I needed to because I got the basics. We got medical people for that. So, but yeah, we are testing everybody at a rate.
I won't pay attention either, especially when they find out papaya was tested positive for COVID.
Is that for real? Like, that's actual?
Yeah. That's real time.
That papaya didn't listen.
Right, without doing something it wasn't supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Stayed in the house.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
You got crazy. So how was your typical game day like? Your schedule, you wake up in the morning, kind of go through that, that typical that.
Okay, so pick a sport, and I'll tell you what game they was
football.
like.
Football, you got to do the flyover, all that stuff.
Okay, so let's go with that one. So let's say we got a night game playing at 7. I would probably get to work about 5 or 6 hours before game time, to just get everything ready. And everything was always ready, but I've learned from doing it for so long that on game day anything is possible, and everything that can go wrong probably will. So let's say we playing at 7, I get to work at like 1 or 2. I have learned to not print my scripts for the game until game day, because people will inevitably change something. And one thing I don't like to do is change my script, because I tell people, stick to the script, read what I write. That's what I need you to say. So I don't like to cross out things with pen. That's how people make mistakes. That's how you get off your game and your stuff isn't as smooth as it needs to be. So preparation for a football game starts maybe about a week or 2 in advance. We have several meetings, figure out what promotions are happening, what we're doing during timeouts, if we got a flyover or not. And just what's going to happen during halftime, if the other team's band is coming. If they are, they get a certain amount of time. If they're not, our band gets more time. We could shift some of our promotions to halftime. So we've done all of that in the 2 weeks leading up to the game. Several meetings. I spend so much of my days during the week in meetings. They're necessary. I don't like them, whatever. But yeah, back to game day. So my script is usually, let's say we got a busy game. Let's say it's homecoming. It's going to be about 20 or 25 pages. On this script, It's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet looking vibe. So with columns and rows, first column is actual time. So the time you see when you look on your clock. And then the other column is game clock time. So my life is lived by the time on the game clock. So it's imperative, I learned the hard way, that clock is set to the right time. So when it's counting down from 60 minutes to 0 to start time, it's imperative that that time is actually right. So if we're supposed to start at 7:05 p.m. for a football game, I need that to start at 6:05 on the dot. What I learned the very hard way is that pilots fly on GPS time, which is recorded or presented differently than clock time, just regular, time you look on your watch. And the first time I've done 3 flyovers in football, the first time I did it, the person who started the game clock just started it on regular clock time, didn't do GPS time. I didn't know it was a thing. So we were faster than when the planes were supposed to fly over. So but it wasn't off by too many seconds. So I think that first one may have been scheduled just to happen at a certain time. Nothing necessarily was tied to it. No national anthem, no none of that stuff. So we looking up. I wrote a thing in the PA announcements for the announcer to say, "Hey, thanks." For look up plans. We have the squadron, whoever, whatever, flying over, and I was in radio communication with the pilot, so we had to kind of like hold on the fly, so we didn't make the announcement before I could see the plane. So, I learned in the first go around that GPS time is important. So the second time we actually did people parachuting into the stadium with the American flag and the game ball. So I started the game clock on GPS time with the app on my phone, was able to have it be executed perfectly, and that one was awesome. The third one was a complete wreck, and if I never do a flyover again, I would be excited. Did it at Grambling. My AD at the time, always would big me up and would brag to people about what I could do. So he starts talking to the president. Oh yeah, we did 2 flyovers at South Carolina State, and da da da. This president gets in his mind that he wants to do a flyover for the first game at a Air Force base right up the street. So he, pulls all his connections, gets this, I think it was an 8-plane flyover, really awesome. So on the script, again, there are columns and rows. So we got time, we got actual items. So, flyover, national anthem, whatever it is happening. We got where the sound is coming from. So PA announcer, DJ, whatever. And then we have what's on the video board. So let's say, we're doing the national anthem, the band is playing, the flag is going to be on the screen. So that's what the script looks like. So on my script, and everything is numbered by item. So, when I say go for number 4, that's the national anthem. Number 5 is the band playing. So One thing was the intro to the national anthem. And the next thing was the announcement for the flyover. But the announcer, again, it was his first time working with one of my scripts. He didn't look at the time in between, and it was a 5-minute difference in between when the national anthem was supposed to start and when he actually started it. So he's, did number 3, and we get through that. So he went right into, ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem, played by the world famed Tiger Marching Band. And I'm like yelling in the walkie-talkie, like, bro, no, it's not time for it. And I look behind me, and the entire stadium is standing for the national anthem. And I'm like, I can't stop this. It's already started. So here I am, 5 whole minutes ahead of time. I'm like low-key freaking out. So we get through the anthem. And the thing was, the planes were supposed to fly over at the very last part of the anthem, when you go into the crescendo and you home of the brave or whatever the end is. So, look up and fly over. That did not happen. So what ended up happening, the band kept playing. I had the band keep playing, and then just had the announcer announce it. Hey, look up, these people from the Air Force Base down the street flying over. So it ended up well, but it wasn't right, and that really stressed me out. So I get to work early to avoid issues like that. So I print my 25-page script, make sure the announcer has all the announcements. Make sure that anybody we're honoring or recognizing during the game, during timeouts, is there. Make sure I call them, make sure they know where to come. I go deliver my scripts to the PA announcer, the production truck, the AD, and all of his anybody who I need to be somewhere. They will have a script. I give them to the radio people so they can know what's going on, so they can talk about stuff over the air. I what else did I do? Just make sure things were running. And then I would get down to the field really early. So at Grambling, the stadium was built into a lake, a former lake. They dug out a lake and put a stadium, and they call it the Hole. And it was such a steep, entrance in. I got knee issues, and I got all kind of old people, former athlete issues. So it would stress my knees out to walk up and down the hill. So I would get some of the workers to ride me in on a golf cart. So I'd make sure all the scripts were delivered, make sure, have my pregame meeting with my interns, assign them to their different areas, make sure they knew what they were doing. And then we would eat. I love food. I have to eat before I start working, else I turn into a monster and I will yell at people. So I always make sure when on game day, I will walk to work with food to eat, 5-6 hours before, and then I would eat right before, maybe an hour and a half before the game, so I can make it through. Because once we start, ain't no eating, maybe have some water with me, but we focus and we locked in. So got to make sure I eat. And then, we just kind of wait. I think once we get to the countdown starts at 60 minutes in, and that's when the script starts. So when by that time I'm already on the field, ready to go. Pre-game for football is usually easy because it's just the band kind of doing their things, going back and forth. Once we get started, working through the timeouts, my life happens during timeouts. So most times, people will be like, oh my God, you got a front row seat to the game. I don't even see the games, honestly, because I'm so focused on making sure that I don't miss my cues, making sure I got my people with me. Because like I said, if I mess up, my teams get penalized. So super meticulous, super obsessive about staying on time, having people be where they need to be, because the show will go on without you. And don't get left. I will leave you. We will skip over your part and we will do something else. So I usually stay till about an hour after the game, just kind of wrapping up things, making sure everything is fine. But that is a football game day. I got to the point where, I had a whole bunch of interns who worked really well for me and they were willing to learn. So I stopped doing a whole lot and I would have them do it for me. Benefit of being in charge. And benefit of them willing to learn and do things. So, I mostly keep still and just have everybody do what I need them to do. But good communication is the key to a successful game day, especially in football where you're so spread out. Basketball is a little easy. Yes, no, I archive them and I copy and paste consistently. And what has helped me in having them archived is that some things come up every year. So, breast cancer awareness and Black History Month and things like that. So I've used the same information from school to school, update stats and stuff like that. But like breast cancer awareness things, that I could read that any October because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I definitely have all of my scripts from everywhere. And that's how I was able to get the scripts to Grambling. I brought them from South Carolina State because they didn't have anything at Grambling. So I keep all of them and just update as necessary.
Here's a question I would like to ask.
Okay.
You obviously have really climbed the ladder in terms of the sports, and we're super proud of you, especially from the Virgin Islands. So we are super proud. But we know pretty much you had to face some obstacles. Did you face any obstacles? One, being a young lady in a sports world, which is typically considered a man's world, and two, being an African American. What kind of struggles you had in terms of getting to where you are today?
So always in terms of being a young person, especially a young looking person, people always think I'm much younger than I am. They always mistake me for an athlete. So unfortunately, people equate age with respect. So they look at me as a young person. So they they dismiss me. I remember when I was at Baltimore, the head men's coach he wasn't as nice as he could have been. So I was in the office suite one day and I heard him on the phone talking to somebody. And he was like, yeah, he didn't say it in a disparaging way, but he was like, yeah, she's some young girl. I think she may be, 23 or 24. But they say she can do her work. And I poked my head in his office and I was like, I'm 27. Thank you. And I walked away. And he was shocked because he was a white guy and he, he didn't know me. And I was like, don't be talking about me because you don't know me like that.
Yeah.
But running into it all the time. In South Carolina State, like I had mentioned earlier, they ain't really accustomed to taking advice or direction from a woman. So when I got down there again, and I had to learn the system and adjust accordingly because I was coming from JUCO being a boss and I had people working for me. So I was accustomed to telling people what to do. And then I get down there and I had a boss that wasn't the AD and I had to alter the way I dealt with him because he wasn't accustomed to taking instruction, period, because he was the supervisor of the department, but also not from a woman. And just straight up, I knew more than he did, and I had more experience, but I had to kind of play my role in dealing with that situation. And then the same thing at Grambling, you get out there and the guys think they know what they're doing, and this chick, but then when they understand I come in with it and I know what I'm doing, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we gotta respect her because she knows what she's doing. Didn't run into any African American or Black issues, and I hadn't run into any here yet, but it's played a different role at Bradley because most of the community here is white. But there's a thing called Midwest nice where people out here are just extra nice to you and you don't know if they're legitimately nice or they're trying not to come off as racist. So everybody seems to kind of tiptoe around race here. So there hasn't necessarily been any issues, but I know that I've been passed over for jobs because I was Black or because I had only HBCU experience. That's one thing that drives me crazy about the people who want to ascend to higher levels in college athletics. Like the people who are hiring only hire people like them or people with similar backgrounds. I know I had applied for a job, I think it was at a Conference USA school maybe, and I was a same type of position, marketing, assistant AD for marketing or whatever. And I had all the experience they were requiring. I met everything I had. At that point, it was like 14 or 15 years in the game and I knew what I was doing. The chick that they hired over me ended up being a white woman. So I had to jump through so many hoops just to have my name considered. So I called up one of my friends who used to play against that school in their conference. And I was like, hey, do you know anybody here? He was like, yeah, I know the women's basketball coach. So I was like, can you call him and tell him to put in a good word for me with this committee? So ended up knowing somebody that he had coached. So I called her and I was like, yo, can you tell him to call me or something? So she got me in touch with him. And I talked to him and he was like, yeah, we're big on diversity. You're trying to get people in. So, they might hire a woman. So I was like, all right, he wasn't on the committee. But again, I had to jump through all of these hoops just for them to take a look at my resume.
Yeah.
So submitted the application. He was like, they're going to be bringing people on campus in the next 2 weeks. So look out for a call. Never got a call, never got anything. So the coach texted me. He was like, did you hear back? I was like, didn't hear anything. So looked at the lady that they hired. She had 3 or 4 years of real experience, but she had worked at Penn State and a couple of these big name schools. Mm-hmm. So, I had to jump through all those hoops, not even to get considered because I had an HBCU background. And I know that's what did it because, my name sounds white enough. If you look at it, if you Google me, you'll find out that there's several white Karen Cartys. But when they see that I only worked at these Black schools, I know that's hindered me from getting jobs at non-HBCU. So that's where race and prior experience has not necessarily held me back because I ended up where I needed to be, but has played a difference. Wait, you're muted. Muted, Tegan.
Tegan, you're muted. Tegan, you're muted.
Sorry. So let me ask you this. for those people who turn you down and stuff like that, they never been to a HBCU games. Do you know that I went to a predominantly white school, which was 98.9% white, and I used to run away to go and watch Pang play at EC Edward Waters?
Mhm.
Do you know how
Exactly.
much more excited they it was than ours?
Exactly.
So if they wanted a little black, they definitely should have hired you.
Right. And this
True.
school was just starting. They were just either starting back football or getting a new football stadium. And I'm like, bro, have you ever been to a Grambling game? Have you ever been to anything in the SWAC and seen how we get 65,000 people on Thanksgiving weekend to come to New Orleans and turn up with us in the Superdome? And you telling me I'm not good enough for your school? So, I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder with Mr. Hewitt's question. It is stressful. I work out. I cook. I travel a lot. I travel as much as I can in non-work related situations because I'm so far away from my family and friends. So I'm always trying to go see somebody. But working out, cooking, and eating and traveling is how I deal with the stress. And therapy. Therapy helps. Got to start here soon. Just found a therapist here. So definitely one of the things that I do to help. So yeah, they underestimate us. When I did my interview here at Bradley, I think it was my first one that was over Zoom. They were like, what's one event that you did really well in attendance? And I was kind of taken back at the question because I was like, have you ever been to a HBCU homecoming? And they hadn't. The dude who asked it was, an old white guy who'd worked here for 40 years and, hadn't been exposed to anything.
You haven't seen it.
Right. My AD here is black. So that's helped me a lot in being here because the person who is my boss is a black guy and I could go have black conversations with him and he could do the same with me. So he chuckled and he was like, oh, Craig, you just don't understand HBCU homecomings. It's, a big deal and it's a lot of people. So he was like, well, what's one of the biggest struggles you've had, through your career in terms of attendance? And I was like, figuring out a way to get everybody into the game or to monetize everybody's attendance. Because I guess, Mumbai, you could relate HBCU homecoming. Some people go to the game, some people care, and some people just want to hang out and they just want to, party with their friends and chill on the yard. And I'm the latter. Like I don't watch sports if I don't have to, honestly. So if I ain't really working a game, I try and hang out with my friends. So what we did at South Carolina State, we were able to monetize the walk-up people. So they had this thing called the game zone. It was basically they fenced off the area surrounding the football field on campus. And to get into it, you had to pay. So before we got there, it was just open. The only thing you had to pay for was the game. And we were able to kind of shut that down and monetize the walk-up people. So we had a $10 ticket that'll get you into the zone and you can hang out with your friends all day on the yard, or you paid $25 or $40 and you get into the stadium. So I was like, it's nothing for us to have 18, 20,000 people inside and another 5,000 people outside. And the guy was like, well, why don't they want to go to the game? And I'm like, because it's like a family reunion and you just kind of chill. So they hadn't been exposed to HBCU life out here. So they kind of underestimated my ability. And that's, across the board at the PWIs that I've applied for. And it hasn't been many. I really enjoy HBCU life. I like, NSU bands. Awesome. Really like the environment because I am a product of it. But I like being able to be an example for our Black students. Like that's a big deal for me because, again, some people from certain backgrounds don't get to see Black people in power or, in positions of leadership. So for me to be able to provide that for them in an environment that they're comfortable in and their only struggles, are young people issues, school stuff, and, whatever else happens in college and not necessarily race related, they're able to kind of navigate through that world a little better. So I absolutely love the HBCU environment.
That's facts. Which stop? So you was at you went to the Baltimore Community College. You was at South Carolina State. Grambling and Bradley. Am I missing one? You was at Norfolk State. Yeah.
Hmm?
Which was the most challenging to you?
Most challenging. I I think it was kind of Bradley because it was a completely new environment. And you go from HBCU to HBCU, you have certain commonalities that, you're gonna have homecoming, you're gonna have a good band, you're gonna have all these things. The people look like you, so you can relate to them a little easier. And you have to learn each system and each environment, but it was easy to navigate. But being at Bradley, I had to rethink the way I did everything because everything was so different. And it wasn't a bad thing. It's just, different environment, different fans. So you have to learn this new system. And it really stretched me because the things that I knew and did consistently across the HBCU culture were so different to what they did here. Like our band here, their version of the national anthem sounds like, the opera. And I'm like, yeah, this is what we do. When I'm accustomed to, like the Grambling band plays the very best version of the national anthem I've ever heard. Now I don't even know how many games I've worked across a 16-year career, but before every single game, there's a national anthem. And my absolute favorite, was the Grambling band. So to come from that to, what we have here at Bradley was an adjustment. Our fans typically here are old white people, like really old white people. So planning a game environment that suits their needs and keeps them engaged and keeps, the young people and the players engaged was completely different because, at Grambling, give me a DJ, let's play some games on the court for basketball, and we in there. The students going to turn up. We're going to have fun on a Monday night for a doubleheader. They play single games here. I wouldn't trade it either. They play single games here. So I went from having 4 games a week over 2 days to having 4 games a week over 4 days. Thankfully, like Langolo referred to earlier, they have more people here at PWI. So I only do one job. That was one of the biggest adjustments I had to deal with here. When I got here, they had a full sports information staff. They had announcers for everything. They had just people.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to do like 4 jobs at once. And I was like, so what do I do? I just do one job? Like what? I don't understand this.
Relax.
Right, like I don't have to go to men's basketball, like for real, like seriously. So that was the most challenging part because I had to reframe the way I approach work and rethink the way I entertain these people because again, the things that they are accustomed to and that they think are cool are very different to what we do in HBCU culture. So I've come to the point where I lean heavily on the people who've been here in terms of what's cool or not. But, I have to be me and I have to be true to myself. So I've done so much Black stuff at these games since I've been here that, it's been kind of awesome. And the people love it because it's something different and it's something fresh. So COVID definitely got in the way of a lot of the stuff this past year, but I was able to get through a full volleyball season and a full women's basketball season, and we definitely turned up as much as we could and making the games more interesting. So it's been most challenging in that it's been the most different place that I've been to.
Nice.
What's the student population of Bradley?
It is 5,200.
And what other school around you is big time other than the University of Illinois? What's another major schools you have around in that area?
So we got all the schools in Chicago. Chicago State, they ain't really big time, but they up there. Loyola, Chicago, the one that won or went far in the NCAA that year with Sister Jean or whoever she was.
Maria? Okay.
Whatever her name was. They're actually in our conference. We got Illinois State right up the street. Missouri State, they've been good traditionally in like basketball and a couple other. The Missouri Valley Conference.
That's a very good conference. You used to have Creighton, Southern Illinois, and stuff like that. That's pretty tough.
SIU is like we are a basketball conference. So again, another challenge for me because we don't have football, and I'm like, accustomed to football, but it's been awesome not having football because now I could actually go to football games during the season as a fan. But yeah, definitely great basketball schools out here. Bradley men's basketball has actually been pretty big time in the last 2 years. We won the conference tournament the last 2 years. We didn't get to represent the NCAA tournament this year because of COVID. But actually, our AD's been here for 5 years, and the year before I got here, every team had a winning record. And the teams that played last year followed the same trend. So everybody, had winning seasons last year that got to finish their season. Women's basketball is up and coming. I think they've won 20 or more games for the last 2 straight years. So yeah, it's a lot of winning going on. So it helps my job as a marketer because people support winners. So it's easier for me to get attendance numbers going because they win. So it's been cool so far. Been interesting.
I was gonna actually go. The question was in my mouth in terms of recruitment, because most schools does their recruiting pretty much a year in advance, sometimes 2 years. What kind of players do Bradley look for? Is it highly academical students in terms of GPA, or is it just a pretty much sliding scale across the board? Because schools like UCLA and Stanford, you obviously, and Penn and those Ivy League schools, you obviously need to have very good grades. What about Bradley? I think that's a very highly educational institution as far as I remember.
Being private, we got really high standards, and they actually just relaxed some of them so that they can expand their overall population because they were weeding out a lot of potential students with these, high standards. But especially in terms of men's basketball, we do recruit decent achievers, but we have like really good academic services for them because everybody isn't good at school. Like I said, you have to figure out how you learn and deal with it. But we have a lot of help for them in terms of academic services. So we were able to kind of go after guys who are more athletically talented than they are academically. So, but we have the resources here to help them. So, but generally the other sports, they go for high achievers like cross country and golf and all those other ones. Like those kids have 4.0 GPAs coming out of high school. To answer the viewer's question, the part that I play in recruiting, I do a lot of graphic design for the teams in terms of social media graphics and stuff like that. So I don't do much in the day-to-day aspect of recruiting, but that is how I'm involved, doing designs for them so they can post to their social media accounts. And then being there on visit days sometimes. Here at Bradley, again, I have one job, so I don't have to do a whole lot outside of my specific duties at Grambling per se, and then at South Carolina State. My role in recruiting when the student athletes came to campus was more involved. You see kids now, they take pictures in the school's jersey to, put on social media and all of that. At those other institutions, I was the person who would set up that photo shoot. More times than not, I'd be the one taking the picture because we would need them especially for football, for signing day. Like signing day is a big production and it's become so commercialized that it's annoying to me now. But, we would have like a work central where we'd have a hub and we'd pushing out graphics as these kids sign. And actually that leads to one of the stories where it was like a galvanizing moment in my career. I was at South Carolina State and it was, I think my first signing day there. And, some of the younger coaches was like, hey, we need to do this thing big. We need to get graphics created. We need to, be really amazing with this. And I got to work at like 5:30 in the morning. We set up in a conference room. I had 2 of my interns with me, one video guy, one graphic design. And as the coaches were coming in with these, NLIs that were signed, I was the one, my work informed what everybody else did. So everybody had to wait for me to do it. And I was the only female in the room. And I was telling all these guys, all these, students, all these football coaches, a room full of men, kind of what to do. And I was like, not only am I at the table, at the physical table and the proverbial table, but my work is the catalyst that sparks everything else. So that was kind of like a cool moment to have. So, played a role in recruiting there more so than here, but it's always stuff related to marketing, pictures, graphics, that kind of stuff.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty. You be doing a lot of work.
A
Very
lot.
versatile. Yeah,
Too much sometimes, but
yeah.
it's a part of my role. I am fortunate and blessed and skilled to be able to do these things, so why not do them?
Right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm still
Yeah.
on Bradley though. How much it costs to go to your school a year?
It's about, I think, like $40,000. It's really expensive to come to Bradley. Oh, Mr. Hughes, being funny. So I spent a lot of time at Morgan State, having been in the MEAC for 10 years before going up there. I had friends in the industry, so I would always go to campus, help them with stats. They would invite me to games. I would go and help them with volleyball stats because they asked to help. But they would feed me and I would work for food. So, it was nothing for me to go go spend my, Fridays and Sunday nights at Morgan State because the coach would love me and she would make sure I got a plate to eat there and a plate to go home. So Morgan State was awesome. Somebody asked a retirement question. Yeah. So funny you asked this. I know I have a lot more years to work. God willing, I'll keep working until I can't anymore. But the path might change soon. A couple different paths ahead of me. Like I said, potentially somebody's AD if they want me, if they'll have me. I've always said whenever I finish doing whatever my life's work was, I would go and teach. So would love to teach senior level college classes, junior level and senior level.
Nice.
Want to teach, probably. I know I love to eat. I'm sorry, I love food. Um, would love to teach sports management or sports marketing classes, especially after being a practitioner and knowing the industry and having all this experience. A lot of professors are theoretical and they teach from the book and they don't have the experience. Well, I have the academic training and the life training. So I would love to absolutely go and teach at some point, definitely at Norfolk State and possibly at UVI. They don't have any sports management or sports marketing programs. And, I'm not above starting one. Home might be an option for me at some point. At first, I was like fervently against going back because, I don't ain't a lot to do and da da da. But, home is a vibe and people, vacation where we live. And, I would love to eventually get back to that someday because there's just so much that I know I'd be able to do there. So that's one path. Another path, sticking in relation to home. Home is a blank canvas in terms of sports tourism. It's not something we really talk about or it's not a thing there. I know we have the Paradise Jam every year. Bradley was actually playing in the Paradise Jam this year, kind of peeved that I don't get to go because of Corona. But there's so much that we could do. Again, people save money for years and time to come to where we live to just hang out. I was reading an article the other day that the youth sports industry is a $19 billion industry. Mumbai, you got kids, your son, AAU, Pang, all that. Like, y'all pay to travel and have these kids do things. So why couldn't we, again, get facilities, get the infrastructure, get everything in place and and it doesn't even have to be a full commission, have an organization or whatever, a group, a working group that handles the sports tourism in the Virgin Islands. You get the tourism department, you get Parks and Rec, you get individual investors, you get whatever you need. Let's build a multi-use facility wherever. I'm partial to St. Croix because, that's where I'm from and there's space. But let's get, an arena that has multiple basketball courts that could double as volleyball courts. And bring these tournaments in, bring tournaments here, collegiate tournaments, youth tournaments, AAU, all that. Let's do it. And, they're supposed to be rebuilding Poly Joseph Stadium. Saw that they bought more land surrounding the property to expand it. It'd be nice if we get that back. Because again, we have the perfect weather. all year except hurricane season to host these events, and we could make so much money. But the ultimate benefit of it is that our kids, our local kids, would have access to these facilities year round. And they could be training better. Like, I have so many friends in the industry who would just come based on knowing me, come down to the Virgin Islands and do clinics for free, just because they want to, go see the beach and come hang out with me in my local spot. So it's a lot that could be done there. I would love to come back home at some point and do it. Of course, I would need to be, fairly compensated. I wouldn't screw over the people's money. But, I know that, the stuff that Tegan is doing and the stuff that everybody's doing to help these kids, if we could kind of tie it all together with proper facilities, proper infrastructure, proper just, setup and planning and organizing, coordinating with the hotels and the restaurants to offer packages. Is so much we could do, and we could give our local kids a great experience, other Caribbean kids an experience, and then host things that will prepare our kids for college and have them see collegiate players in different sports and kind of expand their knowledge of things. So a couple different options. Might not retire soon, but I probably will be doing something different a little soon. Don't have a dream school. Well, Norfolk State. I want to go back home to Norfolk State and do all these things for them. Going to all these different schools, I've always been an outsider. And people, oh, you didn't go here, especially at Grambling. Lord, they love their Grambling people, and if you ain't one of them, you gotta come with it and you gotta do your work. Thankfully, I was able to do work to get accepted. But if I could go be great for Norfolk State, I would definitely do it. Or UVI. I know the St. Croix campus doesn't have sports, and they actually just hired an AD. When that job posted, a couple people sent it to me, and I was like, I don't know that I want to live in St. Thomas. But if I could, UVI or NSU would be schools that I would really want to work
Could UVI afford you?
I mean, if they know what they gain, they better make some concessions for it. But and it's home, so my number might change a little bit, because I'll have a different quality of life. I still have quite a bit of family there. My dad does live in Tampa. My dad and stepmom. My mom just passed away this year, so she's not home anymore. But still got family there, so it's still a vibe. Tegan, you there, coffee there, so y'all my family too. So it would be cool. I wouldn't necessarily have to pay rent. So, my expenses would be a little less. So we could, finagle the numbers a little bit. But, if they want me bad enough, they'll make it happen.
Talking business. Definitely
a business.
Yeah.
But man, I would love to be able to, what Tegan did with the Man League and all that other stuff. Even just listening, seeing it, being firsthand, being there for games and stuff was one thing, but then hearing the behind the scenes story last week and all the things that you put into it and all the thought and all the organization that went into it, if we were to join teams, man, we could do so much. And we've talked about this, Tegan, before. We could just do so much. So it would be super awesome.
We'll do it, but we ain't gonna do Man League. We're gonna do it on a professional level. I think it's about time Virgin Islands get a professional league, and that's gonna be my ultimate goal.
And you already know I will help you with that in any way possible. Use my boy till the end. So whatever you need, just definitely let me know.
We on it like popcorn.
Yeah. Well, that was some great ideas you when you touched on the sports tourism, some great ideas, and something we have definitely talked about.
And she hit the nail on the head in terms of the number one thing we need is the facilities, because there's something wrong with our people in the Virgin Islands, and I don't want to be mean with the schools and UVI. For some reason, they built these gyms to close them up. They don't build them to put kids inside. It's like some kind of power struggle stuff is going on where we have the facility, but yet the community can't use them. So it's kind of crazy. So the community needs its own facility for community stuff. We don't need to be going to UVI because UVI want to charge you $1 million to use their gym. You don't need to go to the schools because some of the principals them believe the gym is their second home. No, we need a community gym for community stuff where the community can go and exercise and have some type of life where they can carry their kids and train them, something like that. We need to get away from the schools, get away from UVI.
100%
So
true. 100% true. Yeah.
true, I agree, absolutely, especially because a lot of the facilities aren't, what we need. But we just need people with a different mindset because it's what we have. So,
That's
if
true.
we got the gyms and we ain't got access to anything else, these principals and people need to recognize that the community is there to support them, and without the community, they ain't anything. So they need to kind of change the way they think about access to using the facility because it's literally all we have right now. So they just need to get it together.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem. These gyms are closed. So when
Yeah.
you close everything, you stop all the sports for the youths and everything that's happening. I mean, the idle mind is a devil workshop. And the
Exactly.
reality is you're not opening the door that they can utilize something. So, say one, say two, you can't expect this society of all good people and all good young people when every time they want to do something positive, you keep shutting the door in front of their faces. So we definitely need to get away from the schools, especially UVI. I always felt UVI should have been a symbol for the Virgin Islands to kind of incorporate what a university life should be like for a young upcoming athlete, a child in school. They should always have the opportunity to go and play in UVI, walk around UVI to get that college feel. But man, UVI is worse than the Ritz down there, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, we need to, like Lando said, I think I was thinking of ways that, we could have this thing funded. So it would be nice if it was government funded because then it belonged essentially to the people, or that idea of funding, and not, to somebody private who would control it and keep us out. But you know how the government can be and how political that can get, and how, they don't pay their bills on time, and, a lot of things with the VI government. So I don't know, a funding structure needs to be figured out. But at the forefront of everything, the local people need to have access when they need to. And again, scheduling is key. Like, we could have all our paid things where outside people come in and host their events, and we could do all this stuff, but we need to make it available to the local people because they're the ones who are here day in and day out, and they're the ones who support us through everything that we do. So, need to definitely do what we can to uplift the people. So, they can hire me to come tell them how to do it and all this other stuff. I'll definitely come home and make home amazing.
Oh, I'll fire all of them. Every one of them would get fired.
Oh gosh. So yeah, so those are, I mean, it's a lot of, if we could tax it right, and they're models in the US now. I think in Illinois, they legalized it in the year that I've been here, and on day one, they made a couple $1 million in tax revenue. And I was like, dude, just, but whatever. I don't know. Like, people aren't for it. I'm here for getting the money that will help us to take care of our youths and, uplift the economic situation on the island. So,
Yeah, that's true.
however we want to do it, I'm fine with. So yeah. Oh,
Yeah, Tegan drop off. So no, but those are some great ideas. What Tegan taught, like a community center, that's something what a lot of the kids here has. They have that access where they could go to gyms, they could work out, they could train and all that stuff. So, and that's something our kids lacking that the kids up here have,
right.
So,
It pains me to hear, the stories of like Jareem and Calix and all those people who had to leave the island to play sports and, get their careers going and be seen. I actually have 3 cousins who left St. Thomas at young ages. I think the first one left, for high school, and the other 2 left before high school. So we had Dequan, Deshaun, and Devon Lake. They all left and played high school sports in Virginia, and made these names for these Virginia schools, and didn't make that same name for the Virgin Islands, but they had to do it so that they could get further. This one, Devon, played NAIA baseball. He was into sports, athletically good, but didn't want to make a career of it, so went NAIA route. The middle one, Deshaun Lake, and this is who I think Jason may have been referring to last week. He was drafted by the Red Sox
Yeah.
as a junior. Played in the Yankees organization, played independent ball most recently. Is one of my favorite cousins. I know you're supposed to have a favorite, but whatever. But again, he had to leave. He went to high school in Virginia and, made his name there, played in the summer leagues, did all this stuff. And then the youngest one, Dequan, he started high school in the States, went to a community college, I think in Iowa or Indiana, somewhere out in the boonies. And then ended up at Arizona State and is now playing professionally in Hungary. But again, all these
Oh, nice.
talent people had to leave to be recognized, to have the opportunity. And, it definitely breaks my heart because they miss out on their formative, teenage years with being with their people, being with their family. Like my cousin had to send his 3 kids off to a surrogate family to live, thousands of miles away. And, it shouldn't have to be like that. So
Yeah,
we
that's true.
definitely need to do something to provide opportunities for our kids at home, that they can stay home and live that life for as long as they can and then go off into the world and do things.
Hey guys, you guys can hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
You want to hear something funny? Someone has literally, and I know it's probably the CIA, hacked into my computer and moving my screen. Real talk. Literally.
All them stuff you post on Facebook, they
I'm
hack
gonna
you.
shut my computer off and come back on, but somebody has literally taken over my computer,
Oh,
and I
that's
don't
not
know what kind of Joe be playing games with me right now. But I'm
Oh,
about to
that's
throw
right.
holy water on my PC right now. Real talk.
Oh,
Somebody
don't.
take over my computer. Real talk. This is crazy.
Oh, I don't
So I'm
have to
gonna
send
log
to
out
you.
and come back in.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll
no
be
problem.
there.
What JUCO did he go to in Iowa, Lorena?
Yeah, Lorena, I
I'd
don't
like to know
remember.
because I was 2 years up there, so I'd like to know.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, different timing because this was 4, 5 years ago, but you probably would be familiar with it,
Yeah.
being out there. And Lorena, I don't know if I got your email. I've been checking, not sure if I missed it or if you hadn't sent it. So send it if you haven't yet. Shout out to Livewire Sports. I'm
Yeah,
supposed to be on at some point.
definitely shout out to Live Wire Sports. So
Looking
you know,
forward to
yeah,
that interview.
I'll
But
definitely be watching.
good. I can't wait for your episode. Need to hear this whole story.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. November 15th, people. Last night, November 15th. We got Rudolph Simmons next week. Next week Sunday, we got Rudolph Simmons. Legendary baseball player, and then we have Andre Titus Jr.
Oh, good.
Multi-sport athlete and co-head coach for the men's volleyball team. In York. So we definitely can't wait for those episodes coming up.
Nice.
But live wire, yeah, definitely live wire sports. That's gonna be fun. They make it fun. So
Yeah, I can't wait to see what pictures they took. So when I actually watched your episode, I think Christine's was the first one I watched, but I really watched yours intently. And there we go. That's
Iowa Lakes. Okay, Iowa Lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And so I Googled myself to see what pictures came up. So I have an idea of what pictures.
See. You cheating. You're cheating. I ain't fear. But don't worry, they
Right,
like,
they'll find something to
they're gonna find something. Yeah,
I respect.
Yeah, they on top of their game over there. So I learn a lot from them. So
Oh, but yeah, they're doing amazing work, and it's good to see their talent showcased.
Oh, Iowa Western, that's a good JUCO. That's like one of the best JUCOs in Iowa. Iowa Western and Indian Hills is like those are the 2 top JUCOs in Iowa. Iowa Western is more towards if I'm not mistaken, that's more towards Nebraska. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. That's where I pitched a game and it was like 13 degrees. It was freezing. Iowa Western, yeah. Also, we have a question. We have a question for you.
So, what sparked the transition from Grambling to Bradley? I wanted to do something different, but more importantly, and this is the politics in athletics that I don't appreciate. Thank you if you're referring to me. And my AD that I came with from South Carolina State got caught up in the political scene at Grambling. he fell out of favor with the people in charge because we were making changes, and I think that's one of the things that we didn't do right as an administration. We came in and we made too many changes too quickly, and the people weren't ready for it. Like he brought in a couple people from South Carolina with him, a couple other people. He brought in a new men's basketball coach, and like we were like full speed, changing the culture in the right direction, doing the things that needed to be done. But people don't really like change, and they take change incrementally, and we were doing it all at once. And in hindsight, we did too much too soon. So he had a 2-year contract, and at the end of that 2 years, they brought up just all kinds of allegations against him, and they basically fired him. And they in firing him, this is where it pays to be good at your job. They snatched me up and tried to transition me into university marketing, where I could, work for them and do all their stuff and still do all of my stuff in athletics and not pay me any more money. And I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So, we played that game for about a month. And then when I saw there was no, financial reward coming and they were literally just piling stuff on my plate, I was like, yeah, I ain't finna do this no more. So, they did give us an AD that everybody loved. And that's again the politics in it. So they gave us somebody who was already there, not in athletics, but in the university, who we didn't mind working for. So, we stayed loyal to him and did the work, but I, saw too much political stuff and just needed a change. And again, they were using my talents. They had me, again, doing work for different departments and doing all this other stuff. So decided to transition to Bradley. It was funny. I saw the job posting because I was really determined to get to Florida, get to warmer weather, get close to my parents. Like I legit want to live next door to my parents and go over for dinner every day. But I saw the job for Bradley, didn't apply because I literally said, "Oh, nobody want to go to Illinois," and kept scrolling. So looking for jobs. State. Okay, big up for SCSU for having a Virgin Islander. Good stuff. But didn't apply for the job. And then the AD here, again, is very in tune with having a diverse department. Currently, we only have 6 Black people in the department. Him and I are the only ones on senior staff. So I am literally the only Black person in the room in meetings that he's not at. So he was intentional about being diverse, intentional about hiring a Black woman with the experience. So he reached out to another AD that he knew. She called a coworker of mine at Grambling. That coworker told me about it. The AD actually called me directly after I'd applied and I had the job. So, it was meant to be. I am making a difference here, especially in the space as it relates to, race and social justice and all this stuff, because they never had a Black person like me in the department.
Wow.
So, definitely glad I made the transition. And like I said, I'm making a difference here, being a mentor and a model for our female student athletes. Got to check on our Black kids a lot more because some of them are accustomed to operating in white spaces, but they have to understand that they can do anything. They have to be empowered a lot. So I literally spend a lot of time talking to our Black student athletes. So good transition, definitely necessary. Making a difference while I'm here.
Yeah, you're inspiring. You're definitely inspiring, so
try to be.
Yeah,
go Braves.
You're motivating a lot of the African American students, who might want to, do what you do, so it's definitely going to inspire them. You give them hope, especially in that type of situation, so you definitely give them hope and confidence.
Right, because I never had any issues. I came from a line of strong women who own businesses, who are accustomed to being bosses, who ran stuff. So I never had any confidence issues. I was always good at anything that it is very small but very prestigious. Never had any issues. So to be able to help kids, I call them, but young adults navigate through life and gain the confidence that I have and just learn things that will help them through life is the most rewarding part of it all. I care less now about the actual marketing part of it, because my job is to get people to come and spend their money with us. But the pandemic has shown that sports are expendable. But if I get to influence a student athlete's life and help him or her make a life affirming decision that will change their lives, like, I will have done everything I've been put here to do. So,
Yeah.
oh, they have Black Homecoming. I hadn't heard about that one. I totally missed that one.
Well, now you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm definitely a lot more connected to the Black community here now. Served on one of the boards with the president of their Black Alliance, and I am really good friends with our diversity and inclusion officer. I actually told him if he wanted to steal me away from athletics, I have a price, but I'll come and definitely do the work and be, a role model for the students of color on campus because it's really bad for them here. They started a hashtag, and y'all could go check it out if y'all have time. Black at Bradley U on Twitter and Facebook. And some of the experiences that I read about, they're just mind blowing to think that kids in college have to deal with, microaggressions and just straight up racism and over policing and all this stuff on campus.
Crazy.
So, I was super proud of the work that we did with the committee because we were able to, again, create systems to change the issues that these kids were having. Because, people think, oh, well, we got protests to fix racism. We got to do this. We got to do that. No, you have to change the nature of the system. The systems were never created to support us. They were never created to protect us. So we need to fundamentally change the way the systems operate so that we are protected and included and, can flourish in these environments. So I think the report that we put together will help with that.
Nice.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Huh? Again, the politics. I don't know that,
Tegan.
I don't know that, hey, Nadia, I don't know that I could deal with the politics. And again, you get so far
Because a lot
away.
of people just look at the person only who delivered the message. I would use the president, for instance. So you'll say, okay, yeah, he says a lot of racist stuff and he's doing this and that. But what you don't understand is when you look at all these poll numbers, it's 50-50, which give you the suggestion that there's 50% of America thinks just like him and even worse.
That's a
The
scary
thing
part.
about him, he's not the one who introduced this. This is a systematic thing that needs to be systematically changed. So you just kicking him out of office doesn't mean the United States is going to be changed. You have to sit down at the table and deal with the problem and systematically change it. And I think people are missing that message. And they
Yes.
just going all the hate on one man. But that he is not, he's just a face. But there are many more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Tegan. That's true.
What's super crazy to me is that, all these people came out and support him and all the racists are now empowered. And even, if he's voted out of office, they ain't going nowhere. They still going to be around.
Yep.
And they still going to be just as racist on November 4th as they was on November 3rd. So that's the issues we got to work with. And this is stuff we got to fix. But how do you teach people empathy? How do you teach them to love people that they've been taught to hate? So it's going to take a couple of generations dying out for this stuff to get better. And I think the young people that are coming up now, their kids will be the ones that will kind of help to erase the racism because they're seeing all of this, they're going through it. Hopefully they will have learned kind of not to hate people, and then they can teach it to their kids. So basically, Mumbai, your grandkids that are ones that's going to fix this stuff. Your grandkids as well.
You're right, but in my opinion, I think the first step should start with Black people loving themselves first, because you cannot keep saying Black Lives Matter if we, as Black people, are not respecting the same Black life that we want someone else to respect. So if every week we keep killing each other and shooting each other's down, not just in the Virgin Islands, but in every major city in America, we have the same systematic problem of Black people keep killing Black people. So now if you're asking another race to look upon you on the outside and he see you don't even have love for yourself, how now are we going to be asking another race to love us? So that is a fundamental flaw we have in our mentality. So until we can look upon ourselves and love ourselves first, and we show the outer world how important one Black life matter to us, then the outside world is going to respect us because Black Lives Matter to us first. And I think that's where we need to start first. It don't make sense that when a white person kill us, we gone all crazy, but now everything. But then we go home on a weekend and 100 black people get killed by black people, and we don't say nothing. It only proves that you don't have no love for yourself. And until we can change that, then once they see the love we have for ourselves, they will know not to mess with us. And that's just reality. When we look
That's
at the
true.
other side, they have love for themselves. And we blame them and said, oh, if that was a black person, they would have do this and they would have do that. But the fact is, they love themselves. Why they didn't do it? So let us use the reciprocal. Do we love ourselves like that? That we won't do that to our own brothers and sisters? I ain't think
Yeah.
we there yet.
That's the problem. We too much against each other. That's the that's the
Yeah,
problem.
it's, and I hate to be this person, but literally every issue or most issues that the Black community has goes back to slavery. Like they set so many things up and wrote them into laws and had them be socially acceptable that caused us to not love ourselves. Like they brought us over here on boats, and then they stripped away our names, our religions, and our culture. So our Black Americans didn't know who they were, so we had to be who they told us to be, and they put us against each other. They separated families. They broke down the healthy structures that we had in previous lives, and 400 years later, that's what we have. So you're right. It comes with us loving ourselves, but most people don't know how to. They haven't had that experience. They grow up in Chicago where all they know is violence. All they know is what they see. So they continue to do it. You look at people who come from healthy, air quotes, homes, how they navigate through life, through the people who come from broken homes or just whatever, and their experiences. Not saying everything is general, but there's a difference somehow. And you look at your environment coming up, and those things are normal for you, and you normalize that through life. And when your normal is gun violence, then that's what you kind of strive towards. So
Yeah, that's true. Something you said is very important too. Where you grew up at too is at the same time, because you have black people killing black people, you have white people killing white people, but you never hear the white people them say
white on white crime, it's not a
yeah,
thing.
white on white crime. Dwayne said something about brainwash, and that's the problem with us. Like we are like brainwashed. You know what I'm saying? We like brainwashed. Like it shouldn't. People have, if you have a problem with black people killing black people, then you need to go in those neighborhoods and you need to try and make a change.
That's right.
Sometimes some people just don't have any hope. If you grow up in a violent neighborhood and you have to do what you got to do to survive, that's just the reality of the situation. And I think people like us, people who have an issue with that, need to go out and make changes instead of just point a finger and stuff like that. But it's gonna take us as as a whole to make changes.
Right. Somebody mentioned, that's why it's important to be at the table. That's why when they
Yeah.
ask me to serve at any committee, I go, because especially at Bradley, I am usually the only Black face in the room. And, I come with more varied experience than these people. They've been Midwest all their lives, or they've, only been here. So they think with the narrow blinders on where they can't see, a greater national perspective. So they asked me, even though I'm not getting any more money for it, I will show up because it is important for us to be represented. And, when we're not represented, people make decisions for us and we don't get to speak for ourselves. So I will continue to show up and serve when I can.
And that's the importance of the word voting. Because a lot of times we are very ignorant in the fact that we said, oh, I ain't voting because nobody doing nothing for we.
Yeah.
But you gotta understand, these politicians has the numbers of who are voting. And if I am a politician and I see a certain section of people is voting for me, who keeping me in power, whether or not you would like to say it's not fair, it's not equal opportunity, I'm gonna cater to the one who put me in the seat of power before you, because you didn't even vote.
Of course.
And
those usually
understand that when we said that I ain't voting, these politicians never do nothing for nobody. Yes, but you know who's voting? Almost 90% of East End. So when you drive East End and East End have the best roads, don't complain because they voting and the politician knows that. So you need to get up and vote and let your voice be heard, because your voice and your vote has power. And the more you come out in numbers, now you will make the politicians then pay attention to your vote. But don't be ignorant and say I ain't voting.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Money talks, and they work for the people who support them financially, unfortunately, instead of working for the people. So again, politics, I'd rather just not be politically affiliated and jump in and do the work for the people, because that's who needs it. To Langolo's question, at Bradley, again, I focus on, my one thing. I don't work much with the development office here. If I do work with them, it's in terms of helping to promote whatever events they're putting on, or like attending those events, but they kind of handle most of their things. At Grambling and the other schools, I was actively engaged in fundraising. So I do have some fundraising experience. That first year at Grambling, we increased our sponsorship from $60,000 to $420,000, and was glad to say that I was a part of that. So even though I don't like to fundraise, I have experience there. I've worked seriously with my development offices before, but I don't support staff to them now if they need some help or assistance. So not too close. We work closely because we're on the external team together, but I don't, do a whole lot for them because they have a lot of the same skill set. They did a good job of hiring a lot of the new people that were brought in the last year and year and a half at Bradley. So everybody has graphic design experience. Everybody can kind of do certain things. Everybody can write. So my skills aren't necessarily needed cross area as much as it has been in the past.
Nice. There's been some good questions by the viewers, by the way. So big up to all the viewers, that tune in, man. Some amazing questions. Questions.
Friends who are watching. Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
So what happened to Pang? Wait, is Pang okay?
I would like to say he's having a very bad headache experience out there, eating ice cream or something. I don't even know yet.
I don't think I should. But as long as he's okay, tell him.
He's fine. He said his apologies and he's really feeling bad. So tell you go and chill. I ain't think he's coming back Jacksonville, Mumbai. You might need to come for him.
Oh, no, sir, that's not happening, brother. That is not happening. Yeah, I ain't coming for nobody. Yeah, man. So I have a question, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's funny listening to your story, how you got into your position where you at. So growing up as a little, growing up as a little girl, what you wanted to be when you grew up? Like what you really wanted to be?
That's a good question. Of course you would ask me something I wasn't prepared to answer. I think a business person is because of what I saw. Like my parents both studied business in feel better, Bang.
Yeah.
Both studied business. And like I said, my mom, again, he probably is snacking to help the headache. He's eating ice cream.
Yeah.
Helps headaches, maybe. But my mom, was a business owner with the pictures. And she actually had her own insurance agency later on. My grandmother had the laundry. She had worked hard all her life and done that stuff. My grandmother's mother, so my great grandma, she had a store in Anguilla, and, my mom worked in it from a kid. So I came from a line of successful business women. So I knew it was going to be something in business. I knew how hard it was to run a business. So I was like, well, let me go work for a business that, makes a whole lot of money so I can make a whole lot of money. But I knew it was going to be something business related. And because of those, strong, influential women in my life, I always respect people who are brave enough to venture off and go do it on their own, because entrepreneurship is hard. Don't get it twisted. You don't make a whole lot of money when you're just starting out. You got to put in the hours and you have to work harder for yourself than you will for somebody else. But it comes with so much freedom and you can create the life that you want. And I really, really respect people who are brave enough to do that. So I probably would have been in business doing something, possibly.
That's fine, man.
I don't think rum cake is gonna help a headache.
I don't know, man. Pan, It's better Pang be quiet because Pang just contradicting himself in the chat. So Pang, I think you should kind of ease up the chat. Unless you already take the rum cake and you kind of tipsy or drunk.
He's been drinking water all day and he has a headache.
Yeah.
Did he eat?
And you know what I drinking? I'm about to go in the bubble, baby. So you know I go in top shelf.
Yes, Dwayne. Bradley is a really good business school. Caterpillar, the heavy equipment company, was based in Peoria for several years. They just left. They moved their headquarters about 5 years ago to Chicago. So they sponsored our business school. So the business school is named after them, I think. But they turn out some amazing graduates. Here, hoping to be one of them soon. I am getting ready to start my doctoral program here at Bradley in January.
Oh, nice.
Please pray for me. I took an 11-year break from school. You know, I hear telling you I'll go right away. I thought about doing this doctoral degree several years ago, never followed up. Because I was like, you know, if I do a doctoral degree, I ain't paying for no more school. Somebody got paid me to go. Unfortunately, Bradley isn't paying for this, but I think it will help me to whatever's next. So, oh yes, Anguilla in the house. So it will help with, you know, whatever's next on this path. So hopefully we'll get started in January, and I will be a proud Bradley alum. You know. So yeah.
You'll do fine, man. I've known you for almost
Thank you.
I won't say what age, but over 20 something years. But man, you've always been super intelligent and you speak so well. I mean, I'm always so proud just seeing you and hear you speak and talk because you represent us on a level where you can show the intelligence of the women of the Virgin Islands, not just in the Virgin Islands, but in the States. And man, we're super proud.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
I will pray that the Virgin Islands one day will really look outward and see the type of talent we have produced, and then bring someone like you home with your talent and your expertise and your education, and put you in power to actually move this nation forward. You know, because we do have a lot of talented people out there, but I mean, for some reason, we are not accelerating their life in the way that the states will accelerate ours. So.
Right.
Man, I'm so proud. You don't even need me to tell you I'm proud.
Right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You know.
What do you mean? I'm listening to this presidential, our little senatorial debates and stuff. And the amount of time I hear so many people say, yeah. Nah, man, you have to be a good speaker. I need to understand what you are saying. Don't become happy about no.
Well, that happens when you're not prepared. So, you know. So I've actually been working. VUBA is the Bradley University Black Alumni Alliance, I think. And their current president, served with me on the president's diversity board. So her and I are really cool. I support all their events. It's fun to finally have like a whole bunch of Black faces at Bradley. So definitely engage with them. Getting ready to start a women's mentoring program on campus. They have one for the men right now, but they didn't have Black women to kind of run it. So working with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion with that. And, you know, just trying to, you know, bring some Black excellence to Bradley.
That's awesome.
That is
Caribbean flair.
You know.
Lovely. So you have your ticket when Chum wins so you can come home?
I had enough food in the house to stay still for a couple of days. I don't know what happened. Like I legit went,
That's a funny question.
I legit went last week, and I was like, you know what? Let me buy a few extra giant size things, just because, you know, I might have. Like, I honestly do not plan to leave the house after Tuesday. Like I don't have to go to work this week. I don't have any events going on campus, and I will be in the house just because, you know, I live in a Republican country. Illinois is a red state mostly, and there's some fervent Trump supporters. So it's a distinction between Trump supporters and Republicans. You know, you can, you know, choose to affiliate with whichever party you want. If you are a Republican, that's your party, do your thing. My issue is with the people who fervently support Trump because he is shown to be a terrible person and, just a racist and a bigot and just like, can I imagine if Obama had talked about grabbing anybody by the whatever and had all these women with allegations again, or done like one of the many things that Trump has done? Like they blasted Obama for wearing a tan suit and taking a selfie with a selfie stick. Like those are his big scandals. And this dude out here, like literally in the middle of a pandemic, making
That's
it
a
work.
market.
Huh?
Trump a gangster. He's a mafia. He already said before he ain't coming out. Them days gangster move.
So I will definitely be in the house this week, staying safe and staying away from these people because I've already voted. Thankfully, we had mail-in voting here. That requested my ballot, got it, filled it out, and took it to the election house myself. Dropped it in a box. They had a online verification system, so they sent me an email when they received it and let me know that it was counted. So I've already voted, I think like the beginning of October. So I'll be home, just not even watching the results. Just let me know who wins because I can't stress myself out like that.
True. Right. Well, stand out and stand guard.
Which is why I'll be in the house.
I'm gonna be out, so we'll see. We'll see.
You
We'll see
just be
what
careful
happens.
out there because Florida is a whole country in itself.
Oh, yeah.
It's different out there.
It's been
I
crazy
think
in Florida.
Mama in the right area.
Hmm?
I think Mama will be fine. He's in the right area. Florida is so split.
It's certain parts of Florida, like I do, like this weekend, doing I had to do, D-Land, Florida it's man, they had like a crazy parade, man, monster trucks and so with Trump Pence flag flying all over the place and people going crazy. It's just, I don't really study them people, man. I'm on a different level than them people, so.
But like I said, that just gave you the idea of how many people have the mentality like that. And that's the scary thing about it. Everybody is just looking at the Trump itself. But a lot of people have the aligned mentality like him. And until we can deal with this thing systematically,
Yep.
that's the only way to change. But I always say the first change must start with us. We got to start respecting ourselves, and our life must matter to us first. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Because if our life is not matter to us, it ain't gonna matter to the rest of the world, man.
Exactly. Why
So,
would the rest of the world care about your life when you easily will shoot a guy because he doesn't have $1 in his pants?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It must matter to you. His life must matter to you before another man is going to respect that same life.
Right.
And that's where we are.
Yeah, if we come together, man, they don't realize if we come together, we so powerful, and they don't.
And like you said, it's not white people kill white people. When you live in Australia, Australian killing Australian, New Zealand kill New Zealand. You kill wherever you live. But the fact is, only the black pets is the one that they put up there in the media and show. So it means there is an agenda on that. Because they won't tell us when Chinese kill Chinese. And they won't tell us when whites kill whites.
Hey, you're knocking it right on the head, T, and that's 100%. That's true.
We as black people must understand that we are agenda number one. So until we can really come together and love ourselves and respect ourselves and grow and push the next generation and rejoice with them when they succeed and don't be envious and jealous, then we can't expect another person from the outside to do that when we can't do it ourselves.
Facts.
So Tegan, you hit it. They control the narrative. And they tell us the story that they want us to hear, that they want us to believe. Like you said, when you went to Iran, what you were living was different than what the news over here was reporting. Because again, it all comes back to money. They get paid by the people who want certain stories told, so they tell the stories in a certain way.
That's true.
I have a big problem with headlines that aren't, representative, or they talk about, when they talk about black people in headlines, black woman, starts Black Lives Matter movement. Say her name. Like, what's her name? You say the white people name when you talk about them in headlines. So, they they just don't respect us. They try to marginalize us as much as possible. That's why, podcasts like this, the stuff that Livewire Sports is doing, all those things where we can control our own narrative and tell our stories and highlight the people and tell, stories from a factual basis, but just from a honest, truthful basis, make a difference. When we take the power to tell our own stories, we create, the narrative that we want to have put out there. So it's super important.
That is true.
So I'm all in support of Black media, Black creatives, because, I've sat through so many meetings here at Bradley where I'm always the only Black person in the room. So I notice when there are no other Black people in the room. I went to an event that we hosted for athletics, and before the event started, everybody coming in, I was the only Black person who wasn't on the wait staff. And that's a problem. All the Black people you've seen in this room are serving you. And they're, dressed in their black and white and all this other stuff. So even the kids that were in there weren't seeing any Black people who were attending the event. Eventually, we got up to 4 Black people, including me and the AD. But again, for the first hour that, people were coming in, beyond me, everybody else was working, jobs in a room. So got representation issues, but we have to control our own narrative, tell the stories that we want told in a manner that reflects our glory and, tells our story to the best of its ability.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. So
despite the color of your skin, when they hear you speak, they're going to respect that. Because the intelligence comes out your mouth, you're going to respect it, no matter what color it comes from. So that piece of white people, it don't matter what the color of your skin. I've seen some stupid people in my life.
Right. So, there is the kind of burden to always present well, always speak well, in white spaces, Black people represent all Black people everywhere. So, I have to do my best to represent us well, especially Caribbean people, because, they think one thing of, Black American people, but, they think we third world, living in huts, ain't got good stuff down in the Caribbean. And they're like, oh my God, what is it like down there? And I'm like, it's just like here, but we got pretty beaches and we got good weather all year and we got better food, so they have
I'd say we'd be climbing coconut trees.
Perpetuating the stereotypes.
Yes,
But I have to let them know that, it's literally like anywhere. You got your good neighborhoods, your bad neighborhoods, your public school, your private education, government's kind of crazy like anywhere. And it's just, the same as anywhere, just that, we have a few things that make us very, very special. Dwayne, I'll get to your question, but one of the things I appreciate about being from the Virgin Islands is that we knew our history, like we learned it in school. And we celebrate it every year with all our cultural events. So in coming to the States, I didn't have any insecurities about who I was as a Black person because I know my history and I knew where I come from and I knew my family lineage and all of this stuff. So that's definitely one of the benefits that we have in the Virgin Islands. We learn our history and we get to know who we are. And, it works out and helps us to be really awesome and amazing people. I think Dwayne's quite okay. So what school I enjoyed at working at the most? That's a tough one.
I'm laughing.
We're getting paid.
Huh?
When people used to ask me, what's your favorite team you ever played with? I said the team that paid me the most.
That's true.
Which is true, which is the political answer. I'm among family and friends. I will keep it all the way honest. I had a really good time at Grambling. I love Norfolk State because it was home for me. I lived in Virginia a total of 13 years. So the people that were there literally became family. I have people like the head trainer at Norfolk State now was one of my trainers when I was an athlete. So we go way back. But I couldn't appreciate a lot of it I'd never really appreciate any city as much as I did when I was there until after I left. Because when we work, if athletics, the schedule is crazy. Once we get started in August, I don't stop going till May. every weekend, late nights, early mornings, on the bus, on the plane, whatever. So it's not a whole lot of time to like explore the cities and have fun. And then everywhere I've moved by myself. So, I ain't got somebody to encourage me and say, let's go check this out this weekend or let's do whatever. I made a commitment to do that here at Bradley, but then, coronavirus, so we can't leave the house. But I think the best experience was kind of at Grambling, because New Orleans was 5 hours down the street. And I have been to New Orleans more times than I could ever imagine I'd be. And it is an amazing city. And every time I go, I learn something different. The food has always been amazing. If y'all can't tell by now, I love food. So Grambling because of the experience, but Norfolk State because of the people. There was a second part to that question that I don't remember. What was it?
Favorite? I'm gonna pull it back up.
Okay. Oh, where I enjoy living the most. South Carolina, because I was right in the middle of Virginia and Florida. I was 6 hours back to Norfolk, up to Virginia, so I could go to homecoming. And then being in the same conference as NSU, we always played them twice a year in most sports. So I got to go back on the school's dime and go hang out. And then, I was, 3 hours from Jacksonville, 6 hours from Tampa where my parents are. So I could hop in the car and get there in a few hours and see them. So even though it was a super small town and we didn't have a lot, I was centrally located to the people that mattered the most to me. Yeah, big up South Carolina. And I was an hour from Charleston, so that was pretty awesome. It's a lot of history in Charleston. That's where the slave ships dropped their slaves off in South Carolina. And what's most interesting to me about that is the people from Charleston sound very much like people from St. Croix. So they would always confuse me of being from Charleston. And I'm like, I don't understand why y'all keep asking me that. And then when I heard my first person from Charleston speak, I was like, oh my God, they sound just like us. And when you think about it, we were just one boat stop away. So we're, come from the same people, have the same origin, same beginning. So it's, not surprising that our languages and our dialects are similar. So that was one of the impressive parts about being in South Carolina.
Because South Carolina, you was in Orangeburg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Orangeburg.
Yep. And they didn't have baseball when you played, so you wouldn't have played there.
Yeah, no baseball, unfortunately.
Right.
Was it South Carolina, the state, they had a big massacre when they shoot a lot of the students now?
Yeah, it was actually at South Carolina State. It's called the Orangeburg Massacre. I think it was in 1948. They actually celebrate and recognize that every year. Yes, the Gullah culture, Geechee people.
I saw that documentary, and they actually have a footage of that, like the tapes and stuff like that.
Yes.
So here's my question to you. If all those people are still on tape, you see how my mind works? This is how my mind works, Mama. They can make a documentary with all those people on tape killing black people, right? And they said murder don't have no statute of limitation. Yet we're seeing those people on tape. Yet 40 years ago, Bill Cosby slapped some girl on Habana and he's in jail for the rest of his life. How is that possible? What's going on here?
Well, the difference in their skin color.
That is how my mind works.
like Karen said, man, your skin color, man. At the end of the day, they're gonna do whatever it takes to hold us back. They're gonna do whatever it takes to put us against each other. But like how your mind work is on another level, and you're right. You're right.
And they still, and those people are on tape, so you have evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
today. Shouldn't charges be brought up against those people who murdered all those black people?
Yeah.
Look at the Emmett Till situation. So the lady who falsely accused him of raping her, whistling at her, whatever the situation was, she's still alive. And she recanted her story at some point. She ain't in jail. So, the color of your skin makes
put Bill Cosby because he slapped one banner in 1940. Come on, dude.
Yeah. And he would drop in pills and drinks too, but
hey, again,
free bill.
Okay, wrong is wrong, and I'm not, supporting any one person over another, but look at the things that he's did. Look at the stuff that the other people have done. Like, look
No,
at
hey, yeah,
Lori Laughlin and these college scandal people.
that's crazy.
She get 2 months in a jail of her choosing for bribing people to let her kids into college. A mama, I think in Texas, falsified her address. She used her mama something for her kid to go to school in different school district.
Yep.
That lady's still in jail.
She's in jail. Yeah, I remember.
Ain't did nothing, and she black and she in jail. White women get 2 months in a minimum security prison. So
yeah, I remember reading that story.
Yeah, don't get me started on the differences.
Nah. I mean, yeah, I don't want you to start. I just think it's a long time I didn't get no pudding pops because Bill was selling a lot of pudding pops.
It's crazy. It's too crazy. Yeah, man.
Dwayne, I'm working to correct that, though, Dwayne. That comment. What you said, Tegan?
I say we need a free bill. When our president can say we can grab them by and he's okay. And he just did that yesterday. But Bill did his 5 years ago and he gone to jail. Mumba. No.
And is super old and is still in jail. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Again, the system wasn't made to protect us. It wasn't made for us. And when you understand that, it still don't make sense, but it makes it easier to get why things are the way they are.
Yeah, Bill.
I might need Dwayne to really come and bodyguard me when I say they need to arrest those people like tape for South Carolina. Yeah. So let me leave that alone there.
No, you're right. You're right. No, you know what? The same people that Bill trusts is the same people that put Bill in jail, man. Put it that way, and that's true. I'm gonna be honest, because they have a lot of African Americans that had a lot of bad experiences with Bill Cosby on the set of the show and stuff like that. So it's, and that's the problem. It goes back to what we was talking about earlier. We are against each other so much, and so. But free Bill for Tegan. I shouted this for Tegan. Free Bill.
Free Bill.
By the way, Bill Cosby did not like Tupac Shakur. By the way, he never liked Tupac Shakur. So
okay, let's say that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad. Yeah. That's why I said free Bill. I shouted it out for you. It wasn't for me. It was for you.
Oh gosh, I think my shout out would be persecute people fairly. So if you're out here, doing dumb stuff, get everybody the same type of sentence. If you're gonna go heavy for the black people, go heavy for the non-black people as well. But well, he ain't gonna pardon Bill because he's black.
Yeah, agree with Bill's action. That's funny, brother. Hey, but they were friends. But
right.
They are running the city. I'm not gonna say anything about that, but
allegedly. But it is what it is at this point. So the Orangeburg massacre was a horrific incident. They killed 3 students, and those 3 students, I don't remember their first names, but the basketball arena is actually named in honor of them. It's a memorial gym for those 3 students that died. Because the massacre happened, it started at a bowling alley. There hasn't been a bowling alley in South Carolina or in Orangeburg for several decades. So, I love to bowl. I'm a good bowler, but we didn't have a bowling alley in town because, of the racial violence that happened at the alley. But they do recognize the massacre every year, talk about it, teach everybody about it. So it was interesting to be a part of that history.
Wow, man, that's sad.
Yeah, definitely is.
Yeah.
It's sad what people have been through for so many years, man. It's sad. It's disgusting.
It is, but what's even more powerful is how we continually come back from it. And despite every single thing that we go through, we excel and we are great. And all the stuff that they put us through, we got to jump through 10 hoops when, other people can just walk in a door, and we still do well. And, we still, become bosses and leaders and, make money and do all the things that people deem successful. And it just is a testament to how amazing Black people are, because we literally have so many barriers to success and just barriers in regular life that we have to navigate on a daily basis, and we still make it. So, we're definitely magic, and we're amazing and awesome.
And for some reason, I don't know who is the mathematical calculator who is doing this population in America, because since 1970s. We still 14% of the population. No, we get no babies. What the hell is going on in America?
I always think the same thing. That's true. I don't be like, it don't make no sense.
Something ain't right with that number, man. Somebody telling lies.
Something ain't right for real.
Again, they control the narrative. So
The media, man, media is evil.
yeah.
So
if we are 14%, I'm very good at math. I don't really think the 14% is going to move the needle when it comes to voting.
Let's just hope for the best.
Yes. Okay. Let me start with that.
Hey, man, in this situation, we just hope for whatever. Honestly.
Yeah, from a national perspective, what you do with your vote kind of counts, but it counts more on a local perspective.
I was gonna touch on that,
in your local elected, because that's the life that matters to you. Yeah, so federal regulations touch everybody, but the stuff that they're doing locally, that will affect you and your family real quick. So it's super important to vote for your local officials, especially in the midterm elections, because, again, these senators and Congress people and representatives, they the ones who out there working on your behalf in Congress and everywhere else, or in the government on a national level. And if you are not picking the people who represent what you're trying to do for you and your state and your community, then you've already lost. So it's definitely important to elect the people who directly affect the life that you
I know
live.
who they are. Those are the real crooks. In the president, them.
Yeah, it's true, because you explained it's true.
They the ones that's taking your local money. Ain't the president.
Yeah.
The president ain't dipping into the fund for Peoria, Illinois. It's our state and congressional reps. So that's why it's important to vote local and vote often. Exactly. Get them out if they ain't doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, it's no reason that like Mitch McConnell and all these dudes who out here not repping the people of their state fully, out here just doing whatever. Again, I hate to keep it on politics, but, when Obama tried to nominate a justice, you can't do it, on an outgoing presidency and blah, blah, blah. And they got this unqualified woman in here in 4 weeks. She's never tried a Supreme Court case, and she's a Supreme Court justice. See, mediocre white women win in life as well. Mediocre white people, period. They be winning. Because this woman only been a justice or a judge for 3 years. Ain't never did no real judge work. Was a school teacher. Shout out to school teachers. But ain't got no real experience for the Supreme Court. And this lady has a lifetime appointment. She's going to be there for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Making decisions on what women can do with their bodies, repealing stuff that's been in place to propel us forward. But again,
it's crazy. They just toss it to your face, man. They just break the rules and they just let you know, like, you can't do nothing about it. We're going to do whatever we want to do. It's crazy.
It's frustrating. It is frustrating. Because again, I got as much experience as she does in all this stuff. I don't even know if she got a law degree, but I've heard cases on college campuses. So what we talking about? I could go be a Supreme Court justice if these are the criteria that we putting forth that upholding. But they will do what they want because they are the ones in power, and we have to figure out how to make changes on our local levels and just in our everyday lives to make our lives more enjoyable.
Facts.
You are right, but that just moved to the point that their lives matter to them. We need to think the same about our own. So like a person as intelligent as yours, we should be accelerating you and putting you on that level in terms of our culture. And that way, when we start rising you up that way and other people look at the symbol, then they will respect us more.
Facts.
Right.
Facts.
And
Facts.
I'm here for it. So government at home, call me.
Hey, man. Well, that's this is what we do here, man. This is why we do what we doing, So hopefully they're looking, and Tegan is home, he's on the ground. So, yeah, but but it's true though, we had Christina on as well, we have Langolo as well too, and yourself, like you guys are doing big things at universities and any other women and men that's doing a thing that we don't know about, we just don't know, but big up to them too. We have so many people that you guys could make an impact, if the government could just reach out to you guys and and create something, man. And oh my gosh,
We could be amazing if we just
yeah, it's it's right there. So hopefully, we spark something and we get something going.
Yeah, the
So,
podcast is doing an amazing job of featuring the brand that we have in the Virgin Islands. So shout out to y'all for doing it, and we'll get there. It'll just take a while.
yeah, Tiga got to. Hey, I already said Tiga need to run for senator governor. Dwayne already don't put his hand in to be a bodyguard, and Tiga, you don't know. I'm always ready. You don't know, so
that ain't happening right now, Mumba.
So yeah, I wouldn't mind coming back to be commissioner Parks and Rec. Shout out to Commissioner White, but when he leaves,
Big up to
I'll take
White.
over, whatever. But yeah, whatever I can do to help the community is important. I had a pretty good upbringing. Did well. And if I could reach back and help, the kids in the VI to do well as well, my life would be purposeful, or I would have done something that makes a difference. So any way I could help, just literally let me know.
Definitely. So, people, the viewers, we have to do a month dedicated to women. So you guys need to start getting names, contacting the people that we would like to honor. A whole month is going to be strictly female guests that we're going to be honoring. So we're going to dedicate a month, focus on the females. I know we started with a lot of male guests, and it's been difficult getting females on the platform. So we definitely want to create a month strictly focusing on them as well too. We're trying to balance it out. So if you guys have any names, reach out to them, ask them if they're interested in being on the podcast. So I have some names in mind that I'm going to contact as well too. Tegan, your sister, she's a lawyer. That's somebody we definitely like to have on. When she come out, we definitely not gonna have you on. Yeah. So
that's a good thing.
No, I just said that because you said make sure they don't ask questions when we had your episode.
I won't ask a question either, because you need to hear the story from their perspective instead of me throwing in stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
About it, that their story can be heard without any uninterrupted. Even though when I was telling my story, she was still sending messages like crazy. Jesus Christ. That's the liar mentality, Mr.
See. This is Karen, and Lorena said March is Women's History Month. So March, we'll aim for March. We'll do March.
March is a good month.
This is what we deal with the shepherds. You can't afford me.
Wow. She's right.
So
we only get paid food stamp. We don't have no money on this podcast.
So yeah, you said if the person named Rose, I've already talked to Melissa. So whenever Melissa gets some time and she's free, definitely.
Yeah, Mel would be a very good one. A very good interview with Mel. That would be awesome.
Dwayne, you talk to Rose. Tell her Mumba say hello by the way too. I already talked to Renice and Jamelia, so we definitely get a
what
man.
about Tumbi Bell? Roger Bell's sister. She played at the University of Florida. She would be a great interview as well.
Yeah, she'd be great too.
How the life is like playing at the University of Florida.
Yeah. So,
oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and I mean, like my two sisters would be great because one is a lawyer, and don't forget Alrika. She's actually she was a side reporter for the Sacramento Kings in the NBA. So what is that perspective is like working with the NBA team, CBS? How are you like working in terms of a female in a pretty much a male-driven sport?
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good outlook for some females who wants to get into the sports world. But they got to be way down in March. Not the first. Way down in March.
Since we can't afford career, we'll pull up March 31st. We can March 1st. How about that? So we'll do that.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, but we definitely want to.
Yeah,
we definitely want to highlight a lot of the females from the Virgin Islands, man. So Definitely, we will definitely like to do that. So Lorena said March is the women March, so we definitely do March. So that's the goal. So we have a lot of time, So
And also from St. Thomas as well. Even though all of us is from St. Croix, we love to get some names from St. Thomas. So, Reina, if you have those names, keep popping them because Reina will be a good interview as well. She hiding into the podcast like she in a VI legend. She's one of the top table officials in FIBA. She knows all the rules and regulations. She understands what's going on in the means of sports and how you can get into the referee world in terms of being a table official. She's one of the few that we have in the entire Virgin Islands. So she agreed behind her skills, but she's very talented.
She agreed to do it. She agreed to do it already.
Okay, great.
So definitely shout out to her.
Definitely.
Lanis is pretty good.
Yeah.
I do work for David Idol. Sometimes I do graphics. People ask me to do stuff. I just do them. So I don't know if it came out when it came out, but I did a graphic for Idol a couple weeks ago about the newly certified FIBA officials, and I saw Arena's name and I got excited. And there was a sister or somebody who had a similar name. So that person's related to you. Shout out to them. But it's always good to see women representing in the non-traditional roles as player or coach. So that's definitely awesome. Shout out to doing your thing.
You want to talk about knowledge? If we get David Idol on here.
Yeah, oh Lord, he knows everything.
You want to talk about knowledge, Mumba. David Idol is the man. Trust me.
Man.
Literally,
somebody told me, man, I need to go back in my notes, man. I'm all over the place.
I can reach out to him if you need me to.
Yeah, reach out to him. Somebody told, I want to say Dwayne or somebody, or maybe Lorena, somebody mentioned him, Tegan. So, I mean, it's so many people, like it's a few people, so I got to get on track with that. So
no, definitely, but yeah, he literally knows every single thing about anything related to sports. He's the one who keeps me updated about things. So shout out to him because I know a lot of names and keep up with what's going on because of him.
Yeah, somebody said Lisa Thomas would be a great one. That absolutely.
I talked to Lisa already, and she ain't doing any live interviews, but she gave me some names. So, but
what are we going to get Sherry on? Sherry running from women.
I'm waiting. Sherry confirmed, so I'm waiting on Sherry. So I'm waiting on Richie's mom too. I talked to her. So I'm waiting on her. So, like I said, nothing against the females, but it's a little bit more difficult. But much love to the women. Much love. Yeah. See. So.
Yeah. But yeah, so shout out to all the chicks out there doing big things in sports.
Yeah, definitely shout out to them, But Karen, this was amazing. This was great. Honestly, this was entertaining. It was fun, Is there anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to touch on?
Probably not really. We talked about everything I wanted to. Kids, get good grades in school, stay focused on your schoolwork, take control of your life, control your own narrative, and live a good life.
Lovely.
So we usually do the top 5, but now we're gonna switch it up because you said something that you like to do, and you say you like to travel. So
okay.
Top 5 favorite places you have traveled to, and top 5 favorite places you would love to travel to.
Okay, so this is sports related or just like regular travel?
Yeah, just regular travel. It could be in sports or non-sports. Okay. You could put it together.
So 5 favorite places that I've been. What kind of assistant? I need help with things that I got going on. What are we talking about? Hit me up, Lorena. You know how to get in touch with me. I might
if you guys making deals on this podcast, you guys got to include myself, Tegan, and Pang. Give us a free shirt, something. It don't have to be money, but something.
So
I need a Bradley shot someplace. I ain't got no Bradley shot.
Yeah.
So just send me sizes. I got y'all. Muma's actually my booking agent. So if y'all need anything, go through him to get to me.
Yeah. So any deals done on this podcast, Tegan, myself, and Pang has to be,
have to benefit from it.
Yeah. So hook us up with something.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so favorite places that I've been to. Anguilla, of course, their beaches are beautiful. I know we have really beautiful beaches on St. Croix, but the ones there are, they second to none. When I die, I want to be cremated, and I need my ashes spread on one of the beaches in Anguilla. So one of my favorite places to go. New Orleans. New Orleans is, like I said, an amazing city. I have not had a bad meal in New Orleans in about 20 trips to the city. So
Wow.
food is good. The culture is amazing. There's actually a former slave plantation about an hour outside the city. Didn't get to go while I was living out down there. But I need to go, so I have to go back to New Orleans because they give a real intimate tour where you feel, the vibes, and they kept it very much like it was, back in the day. So it's an immersive experience, and I had to like mentally and emotionally prepare for that. And I didn't get the time to go. So New Orleans. San Diego was pretty nice. Been out there a couple times. The West Coast is too far from me because my life happens on the East Coast and in the Caribbean. But it was a beautiful city. Been to LA, been out there, so it was good to visit, good to see. But wouldn't live out there. It's way too far. So I don't really do carnival anymore. I have a thing about being around too many people. I don't like to go in public areas a whole with big crowds. I think a part of that comes from being separated in working in athletics. So I'm in a stadium with 65,000 people, but I'm on the field and they can't get to me. And I get there 4 or 5 hours before the game, so I'm not in traffic. I'm not in a rush, and I'm accustomed to being sequestered from people. So I don't really do carnival, but I will go right before or after. So maybe we could link up down there, Pat, and the rest of the family. Um, Texas, just generally, I love Dallas. I love Houston. They're very two different cities, but Houston has amazing culture. And again, like it always comes back to food with me. So anywhere I got good food, I try and go. But Houston was amazing. Love Dallas all the time. Would go out there um, all the time and enjoy myself. And then one more place that I've been to that I love. Miami. I had some really good experiences out there. Went for work a couple times. Went, for leisure. Had a good time every time I went. So shout out to South Florida. Now 5 places that I want to go.
Yeah, real quick, sorry to interrupt, Karen. Real quick, Langolo, that's a great idea. That's a great idea, Langolo. So that's something I will look into, and we could do that. That's a great idea. I like that. So I wanted to get that out.
Cool. Definitely want to go to as many countries as I can in Africa. I always wanted to go see the pyramids in Egypt. Would love to go to South Africa. Couple different places. Want to go to Nigeria. They have an amazing culture, and I, have a lot of Nigerian friends, and cultures are similar to ours, but they just live with a different fervor that we don't have. So would love to go there, but let's count Africa as one giant place. Um, would love to go to Peru.
Good question.
I was hoping I could avoid that question. We're gonna stick to these travel places here real quick. So the 7 wonders of the ancient world I want to see. Haven't checked on my travel book in a while, so I don't remember them all. But Machu Picchu in Peru, again, South America is pretty awesome. Haven't been to any countries in Central America, so would love to go out there. I haven't been to Mexico, so count Mexico. That'll go for 3. I'd like to go to all the Caribbean islands. I've been to several. But I'd love to go to every single one. Haven't been. The one carnival that I would go to in my life right now is Trinidad Carnival because I haven't been, and that's the carnival of all carnivals. So I would love to go to Trinidad's carnival, and I have a goal of going to all 50 states. I've been to 26, so I'm halfway there. Actually almost took a job in Alaska when they were offering me this Bradley job. That would have been absolutely insane. And, if I thought it's cold here, it's definitely colder there. But definitely would love to go to all 50 states. So I think I may have gotten to 5. And we could kind of skip Dwayne's question. That wouldn't be fair. whenever the time comes, I don't necessarily have a plan. I don't like to stick to timelines because that's how people, get depressed, and you compare yourself to other people, and oh, I ain't doing this, I ain't got a house, I ain't married, I ain't this, that, and get depressed and don't look at the things that you do have. So, if somebody come along that wants to deal with me for the rest of their life, I guess it'll happen eventually. I don't know. So I guess that answered the question. I don't know when I'm getting married. I don't know if I'm getting married, but it's honestly for me, it's more important to have my person, somebody who's down for me no matter what, who will be there to support me, who I can support, who will make me a better person. Marriage license or not, if I have my person and we working towards the same goals and doing the things that we're supposed to do and loving God the way we need to and living the life that we want to, it'll be cool. So
Nice.
whenever
the me and coffee test.
I do, because oh god, Tegan and Coffee won't let me. They don't want to let me live it down. So
Oh
and that's the
gosh.
thing. I got like crazy family. I got crazy friends. So again, whoever could put up with me and all the people I come with, more power to that person.
Yeah, more power to that person, More power. So good luck. Good luck. Good luck to that person.
So shout out to him, whoever he will be.
Yeah. So nice places. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I was prepared to give a top 5 in sports, but I like that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, definitely, Renee. I agree.
maybe
And fine not being married as well, living this life and enjoying it. So it's cool.
maybe one day we have an episode of Marriage Tegan.
I know.
Do any open up a can of worms, do any? Tegan. Do any? Yeah. No. So man, this was amazing. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna say this, right? You need to have a woman podcast. You guys, it needs to have a woman podcast. So Christine, Karen, any other females out there, you guys need to do something. Do something for the for the females. You guys could touch on a lot of issues, a lot of subjects. You guys could kind of talk about your personal experiences, as a black woman, coming from the Caribbean as well. So, that's something that would be pretty cool. I'm just giving you guys, if you guys want to use our platform, myself, Tegan, and Pang platform to do it, you guys more than welcome to do it. Whoever wants to do it, if it's anything to help out, people, and give them information, etc., to help them out, you guys more than welcome. So
Yeah, that's something I need to talk to a lot of these young ladies who putting up their pictures on Facebook every 2 minutes,
oh God.
hoping for people to be saying, yes, am I pretty, and all this foolishness. Come on.
Yeah.
We need to be teaching them to be confident in themselves and stop looking from the external to confirm that you already are. So it's foolishness to me, and it's a lack of self-confidence to me, because the true beauty of a person happens to be within. So if you're only going to worry about your external and how you look on the outside, man, you're always going to be in competition, because somebody externally will look better than you.
That's true.
Get away from stop posting all of these little big pictures. I still hate to see that.
Well said, Tegan. Well said.
It goes back to foundation. Like if you have an upbringing where you're valued as a person and you're not insecure in yourself, those things won't be a big deal. But when you have these girls who don't have the right role models, or who don't have any role models, they look to the people that are out there. They get on social media, they see, the famous people butts out doing all this stuff, and they think that's cool, and they see the reactions that those people are getting, and they equate likes with love and self-value and self-worth. So they just need the foundation, and they need good examples, honestly. And they definitely have to love themselves. Yes.
Beautiful. That was well said.
That's true. So Pan came up with this idea, Tegan, right? And Karen. In March, have three women do the show.
I agree.
I'm down.
All right,
I'm
so
down.
you down?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna contact you. You already done, so I gotta find two more females. I'm gonna ask Christina. She would like to do it. I think that'd be pretty powerful. I think that'd be pretty awesome. That's a great idea, Pang.
I'm gonna treat them who are three powerful people.
Langalo. So we'll okay. I like that.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely we'll try to make that work out. And if we could do that, that'd be fabulous. That'd be fabulous, So, myself, Tegan and Pa, we just trying to be gentlemen, ladies. We're just trying to look out for you guys.
We
So
appreciate
look at Tegan blushing and laughing. Look.
the black woman is the least protected and appreciated woman out there. So we appreciate all y'all are doing to, highlight
Facts.
our voices and support us.
Facts.
So yes.
Yeah.
The Pang has a degree in studying other marriages.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys listen to Pang, yeah. If you want to be married for 2 weeks, listen to Pang. No, but great idea though. Great idea, Pang. Great idea. Yeah, we did, so man, this was great. This is a very good episode. Man. This is
Very
fun.
good. You did a great job, Karen. I'm super proud. I love you to get you're family to me. We might not be blood, but you are my family. Man, just keep doing what you're doing. We always staying in touch. I'm just super proud, man. And hopefully the Virgin Islands is proud of you also. So
Yeah.
that's off to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Definitely making y'all proud is what I'm here for. So let's go.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too. I'm definitely proud of you, Karen. Definitely proud of you. Like I say, I've known you for a long time too, as well. Tegan as well too. So I'm very proud of you. I really like that you touched on that situation with the tumor, because you just never know if any females is watching that is going through that. They could probably have an idea. So that was really really well commendable that you kind of touch on that.
Yeah, it's important to highlight struggles, because everything isn't always rosy. You don't have a straight easy path to anywhere. But one lesson that I learned in going through, thank you, Nadia, thank you, Renice, in that situation is Black women have to advocate for themselves in medical situations. It took me a year of telling these doctors something is wrong before they did everything possible to figure it out. You hear all the statistics, Black women are more likely to die after childbirth. We are less properly diagnosed than other women, so just a whole bunch of stuff that goes on. They believe we have a higher tolerance for pain, so they're less likely to administer, pain relievers, painkillers, all that stuff. So definitely advocate for yourself. Your body. If something isn't right, go get it checked out. I am always in support of having a Black medical professional deal with you. One of the issues that I haven't been able to be consistent in going to therapy is that it's hard to find a Black therapist everywhere I've been. The same way it's hard to find, Black doctors in our practices. So if at all possible, go find a Black gynecologist, go find a Black general practitioner, deal with, Black doctors, because they understand, go find Black plastic surgeons. Like literally everybody in your medical life, it'd be cool if they're Black, because they understand your body. They understand how Black people work. They are you, so they will look out for you more so than some of these white doctors. Not saying white doctors won't take care of you, but get one of your own, you're likely to be taken better care of.
Well said.
Well said, man. All else fail, if they can't find that, they can go to Cuba. Everybody over there Black. I've been to Cuba. Cuba is a beautiful country. Real talk. I wasn't even making a joke. And man, they medical. See, I always make so much joke, everybody laugh. But I'm telling you, Boba.
No.
Best medical staff in the world.
No, you're right. But when you said Black people in Cuba, I was laughing because they got the black.
Yeah.
So, yeah, see? So
they have some of the best doctors in the world. Eye doctors. Most of the Caribbean countries go to Cuba to fix the eye. My grandmother went there. She's from Montserrat. She went to Cuba. She got an eye fix for free. The Caribbean countries can do that. They went over to Italy and cured so many people with the coronavirus. They have some of the best doctors in the world, I'm telling you.
No, you're right. I agree with you 100%. I was just laughing because...
I was joking. I mean, I come out like a joke, but I'm serious on this one.
I was laughing because...
If I make a joke, I would have said, go to Santo Domingo. Get your plastic surgery one time.
Oh, geez, that's funny. That is like, I mean, stereotypically true, but also very funny. So,
Yeah.
Oh
Now, Cuba
gosh.
is really high tech in medical medicine, and their advancement is very high. You notice you haven't heard much about cases in Cuba?
no, because they
No.
do what they're supposed to do.
No, okay.
But whole nother topic. We ain't going back there.
Yeah.
So yeah. So all the viewers tuning in for Karen episode, appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. Again, a lot of great questions. Appreciate you guys supporting her. I appreciate the engagement, man. Appreciate the engagement. Love it, love it, love it. So I appreciate the viewers. I definitely appreciate you guys.
Yes, thank you everybody for hanging out with me. This was fun. I know a lot of you from the comments, so it's good to hear questions and just thank you. I respect people's time. Time is the greatest asset that we all have. So for them to, freely give it to us and then for y'all to give it to us every week is definitely appreciated.
Fox. Wednesday we have Andre Titus Jr., Montesport athlete, head men's volleyball coach at York College. We have him coming up Wednesday, 7 p.m. And then we have Rudolph Simmons, legendary baseball player, coming on Sunday. Next two episodes.
And looking forward to both of those. Thank you.
So the voice, holy, he changed his name to Holy Water. Oh my God.
I guess it fixed the computer. Did it? Did you get
Somebody
it?
attacked my computer. I think it's the CIA. It might be
Holy
Russia.
Water.
I really think it's Russia.
Oh my God. So Tegan, you could take us out if you want to touch on your I know you kind of touched on your jersey retirement from yesterday. If you want to touch on it a little bit, or you want to wait until next episode, is up to you. But
No, wait. Karen was just so perfect. I mean, we'll wait until the next episode, then we can speak a little bit about it. But it's all about Karen tonight. I don't really want to take no shine away from our episode. But for all the people who did contribute to the jersey retirement, it was a complete surprise. Big shout out to my lovely sisters, especially Carrie Ann. She was number one in setting it up. Mumba, you was a good liar. You and Bam. I realized throughout this deal, a lot of my friends, them are very good liars.
what did I do?
Liars, but
Yeah, keep the secret.
Hey,
Yeah.
the lawyer did some investigation and some crimes that I did back in the days, and kind of so I had to do what I had to do so I don't get arrested.
great surprise. It was a great honor. And then everything went so well. It went so well. It was well planned, well executed. Only thing I would add is we definitely need to have Stephen Bidi Panghaj number up there, because even though I put Complex on the map internationally in terms of what I accomplished with my professional world and movies and stuff like that, Pan was the first to actually put Complex on the map in terms of making the school be known as a powerhouse. So
That's
you
true.
always have to represent the first. So I definitely will advocate for Pan's number 6 to be retired as well. We still commentating about Coffee since he didn't really graduate from Complex. He graduated from St. Joseph. So he weighed number 10. So we were thinking about putting number 1 in Complex and number 0 in St. Joseph. One of the two. We're not really sure right now, but
yeah. I like that idea. He made his name in Complex, so we definitely big him up.
We can respect that. That's
Yeah.
fine.
We give him a lot of L's in Complex. So
But
no, much love to Coffee. That's my brother. Much love to him.
I was extremely humble and grateful. It was a great experience. I really thought I was going there to do something for Kurt VLA, because that was the thing they told me. We're gonna honor Kurt VLA. So that's how they got me. Even though some of my senses was going off left and right, I still wasn't too sure what they wanted. So it did catch me off guard.
But good. Glad you enjoyed it. Glad it worked out.
Yeah.
And the
Sorry,
videos,
your
was,
friends had to lie.
the videos that Mumba them did, Mumba, your one was the funniest. We can talk about that in the next show.
Well, I'm
for
glad.
you, Gus, Glenn, Mr. Miller, man, you guys did a good job. So I don't really want to talk too much because I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm talking about it. So let me stop talking about it. How about that?
I holy water. We got you. So
the viewers, man, as we take you guys out, hopefully you'll join us on Wednesday. I will be traveling Mumbai, but hopefully I'll be situated that I can come in. I'm actually going to the bubble in St. Thomas. So hopefully everything will go well. and I'll be in St. Thomas, but pretty much we'll have to get situated. So I don't really know the schedule as of now. But I will definitely find a way to be on Wednesday, and hopefully you guys will join us. And from all of us from the Elite Podcast, Beanie Pang is feeling well. He's killing my rum cake outside. I'm going to make sure I go and get some before all is finished. Join us next time. We love you, and we out.
Thanks, y'all.